We're going to try this again, folks. I see that comment out there. So much news to follow, so little bandwidth if you're a patriot. I can't agree more with that. I can't think of anything really that makes more sense than that right now. Although, on my end right now, it is telling me that we do have an excellent connection. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that that's the case. Let's try to get back into it. Looks like some of these feeds might be going down. Oh God. We'll come back to BCP here in one moment.
Well, I would like to say that it is not an inevitability. It is, if anything, deliberate.
Yes, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. We'll see if she works this time.
And operational staff, and it cannot continue. I write to several people housed in this prison facility, and I have come to care about them very much. I received an email yesterday.
And so far it's saying that we have an excellent connection. I don't know. I don't trust it, but we'll see.
That about a week ago, he and his cellmate were tested for COVID.
The issue we're going to run into is that there is a lot of feeds.
Positive test result on a Thursday, but was not notified until a Monday. For the duration of that time, the two were kept together.
That seem to be going up and down.
And then,
oh wow, for the first time ever, Facebook's actually showing us.
The quote-unquote negative member of the cell was moved into a different cell with a different negative person. How can this be allowed to happen? I heard also yesterday in this email that the new cell that my friend has been moved into used to house someone we'll call Joe.
We'll have to see if this one works out. So we'll try this second attempt here.
Because medical staff is still coming by to check vitals for Joe. They still think he is here. Wherever Joe is, he is not receiving medical treatment. This is incompetence. This is criminal. This is unacceptable. This is complete disregard for human life. So if anyone is wondering, isn't this just inevitable? No, it is not. It is preventable, and it has to stop. So DOC, we see you. We hold you accountable. We hold you directly, personally responsible for every person who has died. And we say not one more. Not one more. Not one more. Thanks. If anybody else wants to come take the mic, it's all yours.
So again, we're here live at Faribault Prison. Advocates, family members, and other community members have come out to
yes, we are back.
To follow the CDC guidelines and to also release prisoners.
Ando, welcome.
One of the in Faribault. It's a medium security prison. But this is one of the housing units.
My name is Chaz, and I'm from Redwood.
We got a Super Karen.
I've actually been in this prison. My ORD number is 198729. I'm here today because this hits home with me. I know that this prison is double.
What is going on up there?
Sidewalks. No good cops in a racist system. No good cops in a racist system. On the sidewalks, y'all. If you're not media, on the sidewalks. Who keep us safe? We keep us safe. Who keep us safe? We keep us safe. Who keep us safe? We keep us safe. We keep us safe. Who keep us safe? We keep us safe. Dr. Spearman has corrected me, and I received his correction.
Just the youth group church, man.
Those of us who are out here on this sidewalk, this is what democracy looks like. Those who are in that jail, many of whom may be innocent, that is what hypocrisy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
That is what hypocrisy looks like.
That is what hypocrisy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Looking for some other feeds out there. I know that Salem.
What hypocrisy looks like.
That is what hypocrisy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
That is what hypocrisy looks
Salem
like.
has something going on now, but I'm not seeing any feeds from there.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
That is what hypocrisy looks like.
That is what hypocrisy looks like.
Alamance County Sheriff's Office, we are putting you on notice. You don't know.
Oh, it's Villain.
Got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey.
And Villain should be coming up.
Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go.
Yeah, and he's going to be going to that Salem rally, so we're waiting for him to go live.
Terry Johnson's got to go.
Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
We'll go ahead and get him up.
Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Terry Johnson's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Terry Johnson's got to go.
I want to say to this sheriff, to Lieutenant Sykes, who is standing out here,
So Villain Square will remain dark for the moment, but he's scheduled to go live at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is now 1:06, so he's late. But we expect him to go live anytime.
Where you invited none of the people that you violated, none of the people that you used chemical agents against, none of the people that you used excessive force against.
How's the buffering and stuff? On my end, it says that we are doing
We
good.
demand an apology.
And it appears that we are not delayed, not throttled, none of that kind of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
An apology too. If it was your parents, if it was your grandparents, if it was your children, your babies, your elders, you would want
And mods, you better get your band hammers ready,
Don't apologize to our preachers.
because I just noticed that on the Facebook Live page, they are currently showcasing us, so we could get an influx of people coming in. Tank's wife. Thank you. Looks good, looks good. Perfect.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Terry Johnson's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Terry Johnson's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Terry Johnson's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho!
In the meantime, We can take a look at what happened last night in Portland, too. Quick little video, but something we can put up for a second. I'll put it up on the middle screen.
You ain't trying to change nothing, man. If you want to change it, let him be. Who he pointing at? Pull Connor over here.
We'll see if this pops up. So this was last night in Portland. And you'll see that you've got Tifas and Patriots on either side. And you'll see one of the Tifas throw something at the guy that's over there behind the flag. It hits him right there. Mace gets released.
Mace is gone. Mace is getting sprayed. Oh, someone tried to throw a beer at my face and they missed. You missed me like always. Missed me like always. You're okay, I got you. I got you. We're gonna walk out of here, okay?
Yeah, so that was last night in Portland.
I'm tired. Ain't none of y'all call me. Ain't none been by. You know where I stay. I'm still suffering today. I have to do breathing treatment. I have to. Y'all some sick.
It's all right, Pastor. Y'all ain't made no statement over colleges. Yeah. Time go on there.
I'm tired.
I'm a game.
I suffer every night. Can't sleep. Can't go down the street.
You got one. That's right. That's right. All right, come on, Mama. That's right. Come on. We here with you. Yeah, I got to keep on. They don't understand that, though. We play y'all fucking foul. Go on this way. You can go on this way. Y'all work for us. You guys can let it still working on it. Hold on. Mama didn't go. What you gonna do about it? You gonna arrest me? You gonna arrest me? You gonna arrest me for what? For what? For what?
Uh-oh.
Maurice, hey, let me get to him. I got him. I got him. Hey, let Quincy get over here.
We're using our voice.
Be careful right there.
Don't mess like that. Reverend, you need to get him to move on to get out.
Excuse me, sir.
The Reverend doesn't control you.
I'm just over here scanning, looking for feeds. BCP is not live right now for whatever reason. Still waiting for Villain to come and go live.
Stay focused, y'all.
Oh, did BCP get maced after that? The tank is feeling like me, where it's like a little hair off the dog doesn't sound like a great idea. I feel you. I feel you so much right now. I'm telling you. I don't know if you heard it earlier because of the feed being stupid, but when I went offline last night, I went out there down the hall to my room, found my bed, and I went like I fell. Plunk down, out for the count. I've been up since like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning now. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Trump did his first interview since the election with, I believe her name is Maria. If you guys are interested in hearing that interview, I can put that up while we wait for Villain to come live, or we can continue monitoring this, but he came out and gave his first interview over the phone.
No distraction. You're just trying to distract. How dare we use our First Amendment rights? How dare us? Not like you look like you got for that.
What are they doing? They're over there with 10 people dancing at a prison or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll put the Trump interview that he did today in the middle screen there.
So that if somebody came in the 4th or 5th or 6th, which was illegal because the legislature didn't approve it, which everything has to be approved by the legislature, and they had judges making deals and they had electoral officials making deals, like this character in Georgia who's a disaster, and the governor's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. I'm ashamed that I endorsed him. But I look at what's going on. It's so terrible. But what happened in this election, Maria, I can't imagine has ever happened before. They stuffed the ballot boxes. You know, I've been hearing that expression for many years. You have to stuffed the ballot. They stuffed the ballot boxes, and they used COVID as a means to stuff the ballot boxes. Joe Biden did not get 16 million more votes than Barack Hussein Obama. He didn't get it. Joe Biden did not get 14 million more votes than Hillary Clinton. And by the way, he didn't beat Obama in the black communities. You go to some of these communities where Obama is very, very popular, and he beats him in some of these communities, but all throughout the rest of the United States, in a black community, he does actually poorly. He doesn't do very well. But he beats Obama in swing states. Now think of that. He beat Obama in swing states. You know that didn't happen. They stuffed the ballot box. Everybody knows that.
This is some of the impossible statistics that we have found, and this is from the Federalist article. They call it Biden magic, and they list a number of ways that Joe Biden magically outperformed election norms. They include 80 million votes, including a record black and Hispanic turnout for you, President Trump, winning despite losing most bellwether counties. Typically, when you win, and except in a select few cities, Biden won despite Democrat losses everywhere else. In the House, Kevin McCarthy is still celebrating wins in the House of Representatives. Biden also overcame your commanding primary vote. So there are certainly statistic impossibilities, and the Federalist calls it magic, as you refer to. Mr. President, will you be able to prove that the computers can circumvent the controls that
Eddie,
are in place?
welcome.
A lot of people say, oh, no, we have controls in place. There are paper ballots. The computers cannot get through the controls that are in place. Can you do that? Yeah. And secondly, in terms of Pennsylvania, Your team got a blow on Friday in appeals court rejecting the request to block
Yo,
certification
I
of
just got
Pennsylvania's
that
election
$10
results. Your
Cash
attorney
App.
said they will
Thank you
appeal
so
to the
much. I
Supreme
won't say your
Court.
name.
Give us your timing on that. We'll be hearing a
You, sir,
victory in
thank you so
Pennsylvania
much.
in the next
You
couple
are
of
a
days.
real one.
Okay, well, let me just talk about the Federalist
Thank you so
Papers
much.
just for a second, because you mentioned it. There are 5 points, and it was written brilliantly but sarcastically, because they were saying he must be a great campaigner because he lost here, he lost here, he lost here, and he won the election. If a president, this is over a long, many period, hundreds of years, 100 years or something, they went into all of the elections. If you win one of the 5 points, I won all 5. If you win one of the 5 points, you become president. You automatically, sitting president gets reelected. I won all 5 and I still lost. There was only one reason for that: fraud, stuffing the ballot boxes, all of the things that they did.
Was
There's
that
only
you,
one
Rancho?
reason, and everybody knows it.
Are you the one that
And
sent over the
numbers are much
Cash App?
different.
If so, thank you so much. You are a real
this
one, sir.
country, I cannot believe it. There's more spirit. I see more spirit right now. This country cannot have fake elections like we have fake news, like we have all of the things happening with big tech. There's a tremendous move on to repeal Section 230. Big tech has no liability. They can do whatever they want. It's ridiculous. But there's a big move to do that. I don't know if the politicians have the guts to do it, but they're hurting themselves very badly. There are so many different things. We'll be appealing different cases. It's not only our case.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That, again, I can't say it enough. It helps keep the wheels around here rolling. Every one of you guys helping. And like I say all the time, if it's just hitting that like button, sharing the feed out, hitting the sub button, doing any and all of that, including the donos, you guys are the ones that keep the wheels running. And I can't thank you enough.
Local officials or a judge.
Yo, Jane Favara with the $5 dono. Thank you so much, Jane.
Cases that have been lost haven't been our cases. They're people that are aggrieved that went out and filed lawsuits because they saw things happening that they've never seen before. A poll watcher, I have a lot of respect for Ken Starr, and I watched him on your show, actually. And a poll watcher is like a sacred person in the world of politics. They call them partisan poll because they're like a Republican poll watcher, a Democrat poll watcher. They watch the votes being counted. It's so important. It is like the most important. Otherwise, people will cheat, unfortunately. So poll watchers are very important. Our poll watchers didn't just get set back, which they did. They got thrown out of buildings in different states. They were thrown out, and this is a well-coordinated attack because you don't do it with everybody. Maybe it would happen in Philadelphia, but it wouldn't happen in Detroit. Now, Detroit and Philadelphia, Milwaukee, these are among the most dishonest political places in years. Just look at the past history. I'm not being rude to anybody. These are highly corrupt locations politically.
I see that one weird girl.
Were walked out by thugs.
Martin Wood, welcome.
Out of the building. And you have it all over the news. We could give you everything you need. All you have to do is local news covers it actually much differently than national news. National news doesn't like covering anything that would be like that. They do not report the news. That's why I call them fake news. But they've never been fake like they are now. Now they're a disgrace. But the news is the enemy. Our newspapers, major newspapers, and major networks are truly the enemy of the people in this country. They're very dangerous, and big tech is making them even more dangerous. But they got rid of poll watchers.
I'm going to get back to big tech because this is a critical part of this story, Mr. President. But if you take out the contested swing states electoral votes, you're back down to President Trump having 232 electoral votes and Joe Biden having 227. That is if you strip out the 6 states with the legal challenges. So is the thinking here that because of the
that case, I'll be a poll watcher too,
that the Supreme Court will rule that the vote is tainted, and that will mean that they have to take votes away from Biden and not certify? Is that the thinking? And secondly, what's your timing on this, Mr. President? Because we've got some notable election dates here that I want to ask you what you believe you consider to be your drop-dead date in terms of proving this case? Is it December 18th when the states finalize elector appointments, or when electors cast votes in each state? Is it the vice president receiving electoral votes? Is it the House and Senate counting electoral votes? Or is it Inauguration Day, January 20th? How do you see it?
Well, I don't want to give you an actual date. A lot of people say the 18th, or they say the 14th, or they say January 20th. I'm not going to say a date, but I will say we have to move very fast. We have been moving fast. And, you know, look, when you say, is it tainted, everyone knows it's tainted. Everyone knows that the poll watchers were thrown out of buildings. Everyone knows that people were not allowed to vote when they walked in so preciously, so beautifully.
Jay Ashbury, thank you so much for the $5 dono. Wow, you guys are killing it today. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all
who long to vote, look forward
so
to
damn
the
much.
day of November 3rd.
Thank you.
Was told when she got in there, I'm sorry you voted. And then they give her another ballot to sign, which they don't use because she already voted. That's how brazen they are. They'll actually vote people.
Shotgun, this was a little bit earlier, but he did this interview today.
And there were thousands of those people. And by the way, just to set the record straight, because a couple of these cases were dismissed because they didn't have enough votes, enough bad, tainted votes, so that you'd overturn the state. No. In all cases, we have many times, I don't even know where the judges would have gotten that information. We have thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of votes more than we need. In other words, if I lost a state by 9,000 votes, or if I lost Georgia by, let's say, 12,000 votes, we have tens of thousands more votes than that. We don't have it where we found 9 dead people, and therefore we want you to turn over the state and give us those electoral votes. In all cases, and yet judges are, one judge was saying, we didn't have the votes to turn it over, therefore it's meaningless. In other words, if you don't have the votes, I understand that. If you had far fewer votes than the amount. Now, in one way, you could also say it's so fraudulent when they make up, when they're voting for dead people, and when dead people are signing applications, meaning they're not, meaning somebody else is fraudulently signing, I mean, in the name of a dead person. Well, that tells you a lot. But we actually have thousands of votes, in some cases hundreds of thousands of votes, more than we need in every swing state that we're talking about.
Mr. President, have you received from your Chief of Cyber Command any briefing on electronic interference from either internal or external influences? Have you received this briefing?
We're dealing with John Ratcliffe, who's fantastic. We're dealing with other people, and we don't always get, you know, they've been there for a long time, Maria. It's a long story. It's a long story. You know, we're disappointed that other people, more people didn't get involved, because this is a fraud. This is a fraud against the American people. It's a fraud against the United States of America. And we're disappointed that some people don't get more involved, like this character on 60 Minutes. They're putting him on. This guy, we had so many things. He's talking about how honest the election is. Well, how come there are thousands of dead people voting? How come there are all these other people voting that shouldn't be voting? How come we find thousands of votes? How come poll watchers, every vote that went through an election area, what they call it a counting area, where our poll watchers were locked out of the building, outside, standing outside, or standing so far away that you couldn't see, where they literally went out and said for binoculars, you're supposed to be right next to that vote. Well, every one of them is a fraud. So how can he say, I mean, other than he's an anti-Trumper, how can this guy say that there was no fraud? 60 Minutes, by the way, never called us for comment. You know, they do a piece on somebody. They don't call us for comment. But when you don't have a poll watcher and thousands of votes are passing that area where you're supposed to have a poll watcher to see that everything's on the up and up, well, those are votes that count toward us. Those are thousands of votes. And they were done in many of the states, swing states that we're talking about.
Where is the DOJ and the FBI in all of this, Mr. President? You have laid out some serious charges here. Shouldn't this be something that the FBI is investigating? Are they?
Missing in action.
Is the DOJ investigating?
Missing in action. Can't tell you where they are. I ask, are they looking at it? Everyone says yes, they're looking at it. Look, where are they with Comey, McCabe, and all these other people? You know, I said I'll stay out of it. I wish I didn't make that statement. There's no reason really why I have to. But where are they with Comey, with McCabe, with Brennan, with all these people? They lied to Congress. They lied. They leaked. They spied in our campaign. I see Carter Page is bringing a lawsuit. That's good news. Where are they with all of this stuff? And, you know, what happened to Durham? Where's Durham? So, you know, you're asking me a question. These people have been there a long time. And I know FBI, and FBI is great at the levels that we talk about. But it's inconceivable. You would think if you're in the FBI or Department of Justice, this is the biggest thing you could be looking at. Where are they? I've not seen anything. I mean, they just keep moving along, and they go on to the next president. They've been there for a long time. People don't understand this. They've been there for a long time. Some of them have served a lot of different presidents, and they have their own views. All I can say is I haven't heard, with all of the fraud that's taken place, nobody's come to me and said, oh, the FBI's nabbed, you know, the people that are doing this scheme. The FBI is looking at Dominion, which nobody even knows where they're based, which nobody even knows where the votes are counted. You know, the votes in Dominion, they say, are counted in foreign countries, okay? Can you believe this? Now, Dominion is also based in a number of foreign countries. One of them is Canada. And Canada
I think it might be a restream, though, but I'll check.
And they're based there. They won't get anywhere near. Texas will not get anywhere near Dominion. I spoke with the Attorney General. I spoke with a lot of different people. Texas, you should see the reports that Texas wrote on Dominion. They wouldn't use them. They wouldn't, under any circumstance, they wouldn't use them. So, you know, as you probably have heard, but Canada does paper votes. And the only way this is going to be safe is paper votes. Even the mailmen, look, the mailmen are carrying thousands of ballots back and forth. There are many mailmen that are
it's a restream from the other day.
Selling ballots, getting rid of ballots. This is the craziest thing you've ever seen. But many ballots with the name Trump on were thrown out. You've read that. They found ballots in a river with the name Trump on from the military. They were signed, and they were floating in a river. They found ballots under rocks that had the name Trump on. They were signed with Trump. We won the election easily. There's no way Joe Biden got 80 million votes. I just said there's no way Joe Biden beat Barack Obama in the black communities of various cities, and then he did very badly compared to Obama in other cities throughout the United States. There's no way it happened. This election was a fraud. It was a rigged election.
This is disgusting, and we cannot allow America's election to be corrupted. We cannot. So you believe you can prove that the computers can circumvent any controls that are in place. And before we leave the subject of Durham, I feel like something happened in September. I don't know what happened, but we were all expecting Durham to come out and AG Barr to be aggressive. He told me back in June that mail-in ballots opened the floodgates of fraud. Why wasn't anything done about it? Why weren't there surveillance cameras to shoot what we know now to be trucks backing up ballots, for example, in Michigan? And finally, this question, will you appoint a special counsel to investigate and to continue the investigating into what took place in the 2016 election? You mentioned Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe not facing accountability. Will you appoint a special counsel?
By the way, Comey and McCabe, that's the least of it. You talk about the Logan Act. They used the Logan Act on General Flynn, who I was very proud to pardon. But they wanted to use, and they did use the Logan Act on General Flynn. And you know where that started. Look, this whole thing is a terrible situation. This should have never been allowed to happen. And, you know, it's an embarrassment to our country. All over the world, they're talking about it. And, yeah, I would consider a special prosecutor. Because, you know, this is not a counsel. It sounds so nice. I went through 3 years of a special counsel prosecutor. I call prosecutor because it's a much more accurate term. They spent $48 million.
Let's try not to interrupt the interview.
$48 million. That was the Mueller investigation. They went through taxes. They went through everything. For $48 million, you look at everything, and they found no collusion, no nothing. They found nothing. After friends of mine said, you must be the cleanest guy in the world, because nobody could have gone through an examination like that. And then they announced we have no collusion. There was none. And Marco Rubio said, President Trump, with the Senate Judiciary here, absolutely was totally uninvolved. It had nothing to do with Russia. Okay, it was a Russia hoax. It was just pure hoax. It was a pure hoax and a very sad thing for the country. And as much as I've done, and I think I've done more than virtually in 4 years, more than any president in history, with Space Force and tax cuts, biggest regulation cuts in history, biggest tax cuts in history, the vets, the VA. As much as I've done, I could have done more, except that I was under investigation for almost from the day I came down the escalator with what turned out to be our future First Lady, who's very popular, by the way. But when I came down the escalator from very shortly thereafter, and you know this almost better than anybody else, I was under investigation. Now, at the time, I didn't know it, but I was. All they do is investigate. Then they send everything they have into New York. When I beat them in the federal, They send everything into New York. Oh, let them take a crack at it. What's going on in this country is not to be believed. I could say some very strong words where this country's gone over the last 10 or 15 years, but it's not to be believed. And we were changing it. If I got in or get in, we will very quickly have deals with Iran, but now they're going to give the ship away. They'll pay hundreds of billions of dollars to Iran. China didn't want me in because we were beating China so badly, and now they're going to go. China actually stated, you probably heard it 2 days ago, we want to deal with the United States, but we don't like America first.
No, I do not want to pick.
Oh, we won't use America first. America first is exactly what it is.
Thank you so much, Rob.
First. We have to take care of ourselves first, and then we can help others.
And there, folks, that was the end of the interview.
This weekend,
that our president gave this morning on Fox News with Maria. So a lot of information there, a lot to hear. Didn't want to interrupt him. We now have Villain and Mr. Bill live down in Salem at the protest in front of the OSHA person who fined a gym that stayed open during coronavirus $90,000. You can see, I believe that is Joey Gibson there, but they're in front of that OSHA person's house doing this protest in Salem, Oregon.
That, he was ashamed of anyone who would participate in this event. He asked if we are now.
And that one weird girl, congrats on 300. That's a huge accomplishment.
Patriotic, but leftist.
And you did an excellent job yesterday. We were all cheering for you.
Good to know that you believe that actions.
We made sure to put up there that one weird girl, SEAL Team 711 reporter.
This is the very thing that people did.
You're doing a good job.
Years ago. We have tried emailing. We have tried.
For anyone who's in here right now,
200 years ago, they tried.
If you haven't gone over to Twitch, I posted the link in the chat. But make sure to go add that one weird girl. Also,
right now and saying we're not going to take this anymore.
Salty Snicker is another Patriot streamer like myself.
That he would lump those
family, as far as I'm concerned.
Those who rioted, destroyed property, and attacked innocent
make sure to get on over there
about this event.
And subscribe to their channel as well.
Anybody here rioting? Anybody here being violent? Anybody looting? This is not Antifa, this is not Black Bloc. And to be that out of touch with the people is really sad. And I hope that he sees this. And I hope
that's
that he
the goal.
sees that this is America.
That's the goal, Rob.
We are Americans.
Trying to make the mainstream media irrelevant.
It's not about the left or the right.
The people in this country don't trust the media anymore. They don't. And they keep trying to shut us down. They keep trying to throttle our feeds. They keep trying to make it difficult. But we're stubborn.
Government's first duty is to protect.
And for the longest time, Patriots didn't want to work with anyone else. They just wanted to be out on their own. And it's because they were doing it for all the wrong reasons.
We would not have to be out here.
As long as you are a patriot, you love this country, I will work with you.
And the employees of the people
If you're in this chat right now, it's because you feel our Constitution hangs by a thread at this moment. And we all have that need and that want to save our Constitution, to save our country, to save our values that they're trying to steal.
Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. And right now,
and by becoming a big patriot family with anyone out there,
we are demanding liberty.
We can get around their censorship. If they shut one of our channels down, as long as everybody's following the other ones, you'll be able to know where the new channel pops up.
Thomas Jefferson said the law is unjust.
Just like we play whack-a-mole with the trolls, they're going to have to play whack-a-mole with the conservatives because we're going to keep popping up.
Correct. It is a moral obligation. We have to stand up for our neighbors. We have to stand up for each other against injustice.
No, Villain's not in Connecticut. He's in Salem, Oregon.
Laws should be written so that everyday people can understand them. How many of you can go read through a bill and understand exactly what it says? How many of these politicians actually read every single word in that bill?
Yeah, we're monitoring Fox 8. I'll keep an eye on it in case anything gets spicy.
Exactly. The title is often deceiving. Franklin Roosevelt told us that every man has a right to life, and this means that he also has a right to make a comfortable living. The 14th Amendment guarantees
we are the media. We climb up in them trees and we get that news, and we transmit it out to the fellow patriots.
And the Supreme Court,
we in them trees, boys.
Said liberty denotes not merely freedom from bodily restraint, but also the
That's why we say that. We get in them trees to get the news, and then we transmit it out by shining the lasers.
Marry, establish a home, bring up children, to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience, and generally to enjoy these privileges long recognized at common law as essential to the orderly happiness by free men. When Governor Brown is shutting down our businesses, she is depriving us of liberty. She is depriving us of something that even the Supreme Court has said we have the right to.
Yeah, so what you're seeing with Mr. Bill there in the middle screen and then Villain on the side, they're both at the same place.
We're allowing it.
But these are patriots that have come together.
Aaron,
there was a regular
I don't
gym
know him. He may just be
that
somebody
decided, I don't care about these coronavirus restrictions that the governor in Oregon had put down. She made national news because she encouraged calling the police on your neighbors. She literally said that in an interview. She compared it to somebody playing music really loud late at night and having to call law enforcement. Anyways, a gym decided to stay open.
I have no idea what else to say.
And because of that, an OSHA, which is basically the health department in Oregon, ended up going over to this gym and fined them $90,000. Could you imagine if you owned a gym and got fined $90,000?
Regardless of political belief, has these fundamental rights.
Well, anyways, these patriots were able to
or disagree with them, stand up for their rights. That is the
they figured out where this OSHA inspector lives, and they have gathered in front of his house.
That is it.
To give some speeches and to say, we the people will not put up with that.
How are we doing today? I'm pretty pissed off. Where are your state reps? Where are they? What are they doing to help your business? What are they doing to help your family? Okay. Bill Post said yesterday that we should not hold state agents accountable for their actions.
No, wrong.
He said, I am ashamed of anyone who would be involved in this. And they're just doing their job.
His house next.
Right. We cannot rely on these pathetic politicians to help us, who are right now looking down their nose with disdain at you for expecting results from political influence. We have to fix this mess ourselves. We, the people, have to hold anti-American state agents accountable.
I think Villain's
like Aaron. We need
doing
to be
interviews, would
loud,
you rather hear villain
restless,
interviews or would you
and
rather hear
proactive.
the speakers?
Shame the people assaulting our livelihoods into submission, or back to Great Britain where they belong. We the people have all the power. The government party does not want you to realize it. The partisan politics, the activist shaming, the cries of racism and fascism are all just a distraction to keep you focused on what other people have to say about you. It's only what you say about you that matters. You are here because you understand what it takes to make your voice heard. Stand up unafraid for the rights of all people, especially those you disagree with. That is the only thing these tyrants fear: unadulterated freedom. When all of the oppressed people rise up together and push back.
Hello, my name is Margot Logan, and I ran for office, and I see Channel 12 is here, I see Channel 2 is here. They would not interview me for my candidacy. Yeah. All they are script readers. When Kate did the first lockdown in March, every day for 3 weeks, I went around to ERs, UCs, test sites, nothing was going on. And now with her recent one, I've done the same thing. I'm also a former government regulator, like this guy in this house. I was a whistleblower, and there were times my managers, wanted me to get a small business owner, and I refused. Yeah. So I got reprimanded, I got retaliated, but I was blowing the whistle for 14 years inside the government. When I went live on King 5 News in Seattle, was the time that they finally said, oh God, we gotta get rid of her, she won't shut up. So I'm still not shutting up, and I can help small businesses. I helped Lindsey Graham, and
you can hear villains.
The most courageous woman. She started it.
Interview.
She has organized more people, and so I just
what do you know? YouTube decided to throttle us again.
Employees, they are so.
Are we surprised about that?
And I keep telling attorneys they should never lose a case against the government. It take me a long time to tell you how inept they are. So I can help small businesses. I can write some declarations. Rules are not law. Guidance is not law. Having a conversation in the hallway is not law. One time we got an email from one of our supervisors who told us not to put emails into our case records. And so I asked why. And she wrote back, I have the document, because the Attorney General's office doesn't want our computers to be subpoenaed. So we have so much power. And actually there is no emergency. This is the law. If you can take a picture of this and read it and look it up later. So for any emergency, the governor would declare it has to be in just an area where the emergency is. Say like Wheeler County, they've never had one death. She can't just do county, she can't just do the entire state. The law says geographical. And look at the law, and anytime you see a must or a shall, that is the strongest thing in the law. So by April, the emergency was over. And she's just trying to do unfettered power through the rulemaking process. So I wrote a declaration. Lindsay and her group stopped her the first time. So she had
Peter,
to
you're
go
very
do it
welcome.
again.
And it
So
sounds to me
sent
like
my
you know
declaration
who
to
good
the Secretary
streamers
of
are.
State's office.
Also, if you haven't had a
And
chance, get on over another great streamer. Hasn't been on a lot lately, but we're going to push him to start doing it again. Is Andazant. He's here in the chat. Make sure to get on over and subscribe to Andazant as well.
So you can win. All the small business owners,
Somebody go ahead and do the
At the
Andazant bot in the
Hills
chat
level,
there
they are
and
not
get
gonna
that
have
link
to
up
pay
so
a
people
fine.
can sub.
From my knowledge of being inside the government and having done administrative hearings, they will not win because it's not law. A presiding judge at the Oregon City Courthouse had to let me in without a mask because there's no law. And she even had
Yeah, so the way the throttle works is basically they mess with my internet signal.
So there is no mask law, there's no distancing law.
And it causes it to start buffering and makes the video quality
Thank you for listening, and thanks, Joey.
crap, basically.
Sorry, I hate the mic, and yet here I am again on the mic.
But so long as it's still good for you guys and we aren't too behind,
we have lawsuits,
we're going to go ahead and keep with it.
Nothing is working so far. I want to take this to every government official that is violating their oath.
Yes.
Every state employee that is enforcing these things, saying my boss told me so is not a good excuse. Everybody up for that?
Yeah.
Then I am going to start out sending out notices, and we are going to take this every single weekend until people pay attention. We're not going to be violent. We're not going to burn people's houses down.
Yeah.
We're not going to loot them.
Not yet.
I know.
Not yet.
I'm a killjoy.
Not yet.
But
Not yet.
we're going to let them know that we're done and we're going to be heard because nobody else is listening to us.
What do you guys think of that?
So sign up for those alerts. I'll start sending them out. You can find my phone number on there. Give me a call if you want. At this point, who cares? So text the word rights to 80123. Go to peoplesrights.org and sign up. And we're going to, if our elected officials won't do anything, we the people are going to.
Yeah.
Somebody type 80123 in the chat room, please.
Thank you, Valerie.
80123.
Stand now or lose everything, guys. Stand now or lose everything. We're not here for ourselves. We're here for the future. Don't forget that. I say this all the time. It is for our children and our grandchildren. We have to make the sacrifices that is required or we're going to lose everything. I say this all the time. God will not help us if we're not willing to sacrifice, if we're not willing to put out the effort and the work. Let them slander us. Let them do whatever they want. But I'm here to tell you freedom is so much more beautiful and so much more powerful than anything else. We cannot take it for granted anymore. Americans have fallen asleep. They've fallen asleep. We become weak and we become docile, but no more. Is that right? No more. See, this is the thing. Politicians always run and hide when things get tough. Every single time. Do not rely on them. The solution is with you guys and the community. Do you agree with that? I'm here to tell you, I've witnessed it, I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I know it. We can do this, guys. We can do this if we get out of our houses. But you have to have the faith. You have to have hope in your ability to actually do things. You've got to spread the word. I'm here to tell you, okay, inspiration is like fire. It's a powerful thing. It goes from one person to the next. Here today, you're here, you are inspiring other people to stand up the next time. Is that right? This is the thing. This is the thing people don't understand. It starts with one person, okay, then two, then three. But this is the thing. We have this temptation to believe that someone else will take care of the problems. We have for whatever reason, we believe that we're not good enough, okay? What I'm here to say is that you are good enough. You are good enough. All you got to do is get up off of your asses and go out there and fight for what you believe in. Fight for justice, ladies and gentlemen. Fight for justice. And this just came to me. This is what I was thinking about earlier. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're black, white, brown, gay, straight. I don't care if you're a liberal, a conservative. I don't care who you are. If your rights are being violated and you need us, we will be there. Is that right? That's what a real freedom fighter doesn't care about anything else except for freedom, okay? And we're here to encourage Aaron. Aaron, if you're in that house, we're asking you to stand with the people. Stand with the people, because if you don't stand with us, okay, we're going to go through some real difficult times here coming in the future, Aaron. And you have to understand that you are part of this community. You do not need to destroy this community. Oh, sorry. Car coming through.
Car coming through.
Good job, guys. Good job. And you're a part of this community. We're asking you to fight with us. The thing is we have a lot of people who feel like they say they have to do it, otherwise they're going to lose their job. The problem is when you go in there and you shut down one gym, you're destroying 40 to 50 jobs, plus more, okay? So that's the thing. We have to make a decision in this country. Are we going to be
And there
all about
goes Villain
self-preservation,
petting a
should we
dog.
try to be the last guy standing, or are we going to sacrifice? Be selfless.
He tries to make it a habit. Every time he
Because
sees
if
a
we're not
dog, he's
willing
got to
be
pet him.
selfless, I'm here to tell you, okay? And I speak about this in every single speech because it is true. If we are not selfless, we will lose this country. We're going to lose it. It takes sacrifices. It took sacrifices from our forefathers. The winters that they went through, the long winters, to be able to fight for this country, to fight for the freedom that we're barely holding on to today. Do you think that they could have done that without making sacrifices? They signed the Declaration of Independence. People don't, I talk about this all the time because people don't think about this. When they signed the Declaration of Independence, do you understand that was open treason? That means they're risking their land, their family, their lives, everything, but they didn't care. They signed that out in the open, and they told them to do something about it. And they went out there and they fought, guys. They fought because they believed in a higher cause. Do you understand that? Do you understand what the higher cause is? The higher cause is something bigger than yourself. It's because you believe in a divine mission. These men prayed every single day because they were going up against the most powerful military in the world. A bunch of farmers going up against the most powerful military in the world. And I'm here to declare out in the open, right here, right now, I don't care how big this government is, how big we've allowed to get that big. I don't care about all these agencies. I don't care that they own all the social media.
Tank, you're already a
media, they own all the
12-pack in.
It doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen, because we got God.
Oh, God, does that mean I need to get some
God.
ice?
We got it. We got it. So you got to utilize it.
I'm like, no.
You have to utilize
I might have one.
We don't have enough
I will not be peer pressured into drinking a bottle again.
Force in the world right there, right now, for you to use. For you to use. And I've learned this. I've learned this, okay? God can't get us up.
And yes, I absolutely blame Chat for what happened yesterday. But I had a great time. Let me tell you.
Okay? And all you have to do is keep getting up. That's it. The freedom fight is so hard, guys. It is so hard. I talked about this the other day. One of the most beautiful things about the freedom movement, even though it's so difficult, the fakers do not last. They do not last. The real freedom fighters keep getting up. They dust themselves off. They're willing to make mistakes, okay? They're willing to look stupid. I've done it a million times, okay? And I just get up and I learn from it and I move forward, because for me, what is important is my children and the future of this country. Can I get an amen?
If you like cheering, guys.
And I believe in my heart, that this country can go in one of two directions, and the choice is yours. The choice is yours. We can have a revolution, okay, where we go backwards and we go to complete authoritarianism, and that we continue to allow this government to pick who gets to stay open. The big corporations will get bigger, small business will be destroyed, and we'll no longer be able to create our own businesses, okay? That's the direction that we're going. And eventually, they're gonna tell you that you have to, for example, take vaccines, or you have to do this, you have to do that. That's the direction.
I'll be right back.
These people literally believe that they have a right to stick a needle in your arm and to put whatever chemicals they choose. They believe in that. They believe in that. And that's the direction that we can go, ladies and gentlemen. That's just one example. Or we can use this to wake up America to where we actually question, why do we even have to answer to people like Aaron? God bless his soul, but who is he to tell us when we can operate our businesses and when we cannot? It is a legitimate question. Why do we need business license anymore? Why? Why do we have to ask permission from this government when we can operate our own businesses, when we take the risk? We put in the money, right? It is our families and our communities. That's the direction that we can go. We can finally wake up and say enough is enough. We can finally wake up and say we've given this government too much power. It is time to take it back, finally, once and for all. Once and for all. These people are nothing but criminals. Okay, I'm not talking about Aaron specifically, but I'm saying the people at the top, right? The people at the top, they're nothing but criminals, and we've tolerated it for far too long, and they become too cocky and confident because we've allowed it to happen. I'm here to tell you, they're going to take everything, guys. Everything. They want everything. Do you think there's a point where they're finally going to stop and say, oh, we've taken enough? Oh, we've taken enough. There's evil sees no end. It is never satisfied. It is always thirsty. It is always hungry. I'm here to tell you, they're going to take everything until you say no. Say no more, and have self-respect for yourself, your family, and your community. Can I get an amen? I'm here to declare. Okay, I'm here. I'm here to, and I say this all the time. So some of you heard my speeches. Okay, I apologize. Okay, but for those of you who haven't heard my speech, this is very important. Okay, you take your community. You take your community. Okay, you take your community, and you lay claim to it. You declare out in the open. Okay, you declare it to the people. Whatever way you can, you say it belongs to the people.
Just remember,
it belongs to freedom.
it's Tank's fault.
It is a state of mind, okay? It is an attitude. It is a lifestyle. It is an action, ladies and gentlemen. Declare it and say it belongs to you, because anybody else who says otherwise, you mobilize and you get there and you protect your community. You protect the businesses. You protect your neighbors, because you can hide for a little bit. You can do it, guys. You can hide for a little bit if you want, okay? Like I said, self-preservation, but they're coming to your door sooner or later. If they're knocking, if they're trying to kick down your neighbor's door.
Okay, oh God, was I dancing last night? I hope not.
You better be there to fight for your neighbor, to protect your neighbor, because guess what? They're going to come to your door next, and you're going to need help. Okay? You're going to need help.
Dayways, welcome to the chat, brother.
State, and I was telling the people up there, I was like, we got to come down and help our brothers and sisters in Oregon, because we're going to need the help too at certain points. We have to support one another. We got to fight for one another. Like Valerie was saying earlier,
this is a bad idea.
The biggest thing that they're afraid of is unity. Finally coming together. Finally understanding. The biggest lesson I learned in Hong Kong when I was down there is that they did not fight with each other, because they knew that they had the most evil empire in the world trying to take over their city, right? So they didn't care what you were, what you believed in. They had 2 million people out of 7 million out in the streets fighting together. That is their biggest fear here in America. This is why they divide and divide and divide.
It turned purple for a second.
By all kinds of lines, whether it be skin color, sexuality, whatever, a million different things, okay? Anti-Trump, for Trump. It's just, it's unbelievable, and it's nonstop. But I'm here to tell you, and I've been treated pretty badly, okay, in the last 4 years. I'm not complaining. But all those people who've attacked me, all those people who spit in my face, okay, they're not the enemy, okay? These are children that are being lied to. They're being deceived by the people at the top, okay? We need to understand Aaron's not even the enemy, okay? The real enemy is the people.
Little hair off the dog, folks. Cheers.
Other, okay? Unity is a friend to freedom. Unity is a friend to freedom. Believe it, guys. All right. Well, God bless each and every single one of you, and thank you for coming out here today. We're gonna have some people say a couple things to Aaron, which I'm gonna do right now. But again, like I said, we're here to stay positive, okay? We're here to inspire, okay? One of the worst things to do, okay, here's what I've learned, okay? I used to be a little bit aggressive, like when I started being political. But the thing is like, if you make it easy for someone to hate you, they're gonna enjoy screwing over you and everything you stand for, okay? Does that make sense? Okay? I've learned that with politicians and city council members. I cannot yell and scream at city council members like I used to, because it makes them happy to piss me off, right? But I have to call them out, okay? I have to go to their houses and I have to call them out, and I have to make sure they understand how I feel and how the people feel, okay? First of all, I want to pray for Aaron real quick. Aaron, whether you're here or not, Aaron, I'm asking you to have a great future in your life. I'm asking you to thrive. God, I'm asking you to open up Aaron's heart here today.
By the way, this is the same man, Joey Gibson, the leader of Patriot Prayer, and you hear him speaking. This is the one that the media tries to tell you is a Nazi. This is the man the media tries to tell you is evil.
To what we're afraid of.
This is the man.
Aaron, come on now, Aaron, I'm asking you to please rise
that people have been trying to vilify.
In the United States of America. You have an opportunity.
You're hearing what he has to say. You tell me, is he a bad man?
If you are willing to come out and say,
I've already got my opinion, and I'm pretty sure all of you in this chat have the same opinion as I do.
Is that right?
He is not a bad man.
Aaron, I want to tell you a story about
bad men
officer,
do not speak like that.
Seattle officer who came out and made a YouTube video, and
off kitty, you guys.
He came out there.
That is not happening.
He was ashamed of what law enforcement was doing and the fact that they were breaking the Constitution. His boss told him that he needs to fire it, Aaron, or he needs to.
That one weird girl. Did you see the picture that freaking J.A. the meme J.A. made?
Needed to be said for the police to hear, and he made the courageous decision to not delete it, and he was fired. He was fired, okay? What a warrior, what a hero. But on top of that, okay, the best part is the fundraising that came in after. He had raised over $250,000 because he stood up for the people and the people stood up for him, okay? Would we do the same? Aaron, this is what I told one of the liquor board agents in Tri-Cities. This is what I told him. He was coming in there, and like I said, he didn't want to do what he was doing. He didn't want to, but he was afraid to lose his job. What I was explaining is that he had an opportunity, or he still does have an opportunity to be a hero, because he can out in the open say, I will no longer participate in these unconstitutional mandates. They can fire me if they want, but I cannot do it anymore. And if he does it at a public level, okay, and they fire him, the community would back him 100%. 100%. Come on, Aaron. You are in a position to change the world right now.
It is 5 o'clock on the East Coast.
The amount of the coverage that people would get. And guess what, Aaron? You have an opportunity to inspire other coworkers, for them to do the same thing, for them to walk out and say they will not violate our rights, because I'm here to tell you, Aaron, I understand
I'll
what
pop
you're
it
going
up
through.
real quick.
I understand it. I get it. It's very
Freaking
scary.
Jay,
It's very scary.
just about spit my coffee out this morning when I saw this one. I was like, what the hell? With your feet in my face.
That we've taken for granted. It is so, there's so much more.
Freaking
it's
Jay,
so much more valuable than your paycheck. But the thing is you're the one who has to be willing to be courageous enough to step out. You're the one that has to make the decision to face your fears. The fears of having a financial insecurity. But what about the rest of us, Aaron? What about the rest of the people that are hurting? The rest of the people that just want to go out and work? We have so many people that work at that gym, and they simply are trying to pay their bills. We can no longer rely on a paycheck from this government anymore. We want to be independent Americans. We want to make our own income. You guys agree with me? Aaron, please, we're asking you to please be inspired by us here today. Do not be afraid of us. Be inspired by us. We want you to hear from the people. And I'm here to tell you, the crowds are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. If OSHA continues to do these fines, this is just the beginning. Because you have to understand where we're coming from, Aaron. We're fighting for our lives right now. We're fighting for our lives right now because we can't lose that. You have to understand, Aaron, do you understand that there's an extra 30 million people declared by the UN that is starving to death this year because of these lockdowns, okay? CDC had admitted finally that only 6% of the reported deaths were COVID only. The rest of them were like gunshot wounds and cancer and heart attacks, okay?
It's been a really interesting SEAL Team 7-11 weekend, I'll give you that much.
It's not an excuse to shut down all these businesses while the
YouTube throttling the hell out of us, but they ain't gonna keep the real ones back. Oh, is that Juice Box? No, that's not Juice Box. If y'all were watching yesterday, you saw Juice Box.
Don't participate in that. Don't participate in that. Do not work for
SEAL
the big
Team
corporations.
7-11 for life.
For the people, Aaron. You can be a freedom fighter. Come on now. Come on now. You guys agree with that? Come on. Let's get loud. Come on, Aaron. Say no to communism.
I believe J.S. probably getting some rest. He had a long shift last night.
Everywhere I go.
The guy's been working his butt off. He's a true asset to the community he serves.
We stand for our rights. We will stand
We salute
for yours,
J.A.
100%. And guess what, Aaron? Guess what? That reminds me of something.
Well, I got J.A. back though.
Guess what, Aaron? If you are ever in trouble,
J.A. put that meme in the Discord.
Being violated, you have to understand these people will be here to stand with you. Is that right? We are his friend.
I was like, okay, two can play at that game. I had made a meme of him when he was live, when we caught him in the streams a couple weeks back in Salem. He showed up in his SEAL Team merch.
Used as a tool in this game, and this attempt to destroy the middle class, which would
Yeah, y'all went ham with that meme.
I'm gonna say a prayer for Aaron real quick, and then who's gonna say something to him? Was it?
But I was like, okay, J.A. You gonna make memes of me? I'll put you on a damn t-shirt and put you in the merch store.
One more time.
If y'all been in the Discord, you have seen the Dr. Honk. Show me them titties. That is Mr. J.A. right there. The meme from the Discord is now officially on a t-shirt. I sent that to him and he laughed his butt off. It was great. Got SEAL Team 711 insignias on the side.
Okay. God, I'm asking you to bless this house here today.
I can
Bless
play
it
games
with your Holy
too.
Spirit. Bless it with the truth, God. Bless it. Bless it. Fill it with your truth, God. Inspire him. Give him the courage to do the right thing, God. Whatever you believe it is, God. Give him the courage to do what is right. God, I'm asking you to help him to follow his heart. Follow his heart, okay? Do not follow his mind. Follow his heart, God. God, we want to thank you for all the sacrifices that you made for us. We want to thank you for sending your son down into this world and to spill his blood for each and every single one of us, including Aaron.
Oh, you got to bounce that one, weird girl. Thanks for stopping by.
The courage and the strength that your son had.
I did it again. I hit the mic again, and it happens every time after I start drinking. What the hell? This is the tank's fault.
God, give us the strength too to forgive the way that Jesus did. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Meatball sub to the face sounds pretty dank, but I think I might make my own homemade turkey sub at some point today. The leftovers, man. Woo!
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Whoa, you have beehives, the tank? Dude, I'm like allergic to bees. Some bees like scare the crap out of me. They don't scare the crap out of me, but I'll run like a little girl if a bee gets near me. I'm not trying to go into anaphylactic shock.
Hey, one other thing I got to remind you guys of, okay? If you want to, so as you said, you got people's rights, and they're going to be organized as this sounds like every single way, okay? 80123, okay? Right? Text the word rights to 80123, okay? Make sure you guys get your phones out right now and do that, okay? The other thing, too, I've been banned from everything because you can see my hateful speech, right? You can see how hateful I am. I've been banned from everything because I'm a brown white supremacist or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. If you want to be able to follow me, okay, go to patriotprayerusa.com. The best way to follow
I get his messages directly to my phone. I use an app called Telegram.
And I really hope that you guys continue this. Amanda's going to say a couple things, but I hope you guys continue this. Continue this because there's a beautiful thing you guys are doing, but you guys have to recruit, okay? You guys got to bring more people, more families. We need 1,000 people at times in front of these houses peacefully, okay? We need to bring the attention and we need to show the country and show everyone else around the state of Oregon and Washington what needs to be done. Okay?
So I'm new to all this activism stuff this year, basically, like I'm sure a lot of you guys are, and I just want to say I am super proud of all you guys for showing up here today. Good job. There was a lot of controversy that was spread about this exact event right here today.
I love honey. Yeah, I mean,
like
absolutely love honey.
And amongst our own friends, and I'm exactly backing up what Joey was saying
but
earlier.
Them bees,
that we
man,
stand together no matter what.
getting stung by just one of them means if I don't have an EpiPen with me, I'm going straight to the hospital quick.
Push them away for things they're saying about things.
But I eat honey.
And I just wanted to say that when we're coming out here and doing this stuff, we have to always remember to do it in love, with love, and helping and supporting, and not ripping down or attacking these people. So remember that this was in no way, shape, and form something where we were coming here to
the bot will ding you for posting links here in the YouTube chat. Best place for that is going to be on our Discord, and we'll go ahead and do a segue into that because again, since we're being throttled and they're hiding the feed.
Joe and Adrian, where'd you guys go? They're somewhere close by. So Joe and Adrian are the ones who are in charge of Area 1.
And we'll put the invite in the chat.
They're in charge of Area 1, so that's basically Salem north to Washington. And then Valerie's in charge of Area 8 on People's Rights.
That is the link to Discord.
Eugene, it's the next
if you're a patriot, you belong there. The conversation continues 24/7 on the Discord.
Like
We'd love to have you.
Is locking us down, so it's hard to get events out even like this.
That's a great place to post the links. We've got all kinds of different channels.
On, Telegram, so I think
we've got channels for news articles, what's everybody watching,
Telegram channel, maybe in the future.
censored
the only way you're gonna hear
content,
about that is if you're on this text
all kinds of
system.
places to put
So
that kind of stuff.
peoplesright.org.
All kinds of great information in the Discord. Love to have you over there.
So make sure you're on that. Make sure you guys
Looks
sign
like
up.
we're losing
If you
feeds.
need help signing up, come up here and find us before you guys leave, okay? So we'll be spreading the word and posting events like this. If you have nowhere else that you can figure out how to find it, they'll be posted on our text system, okay? So we're up here if you need help.
Thank you.
I think Villain found a dog that didn't like him very much. He tried to go pet him. He's trying to get bit.
Meanie. So mean. Such a meanie.
Hi, everybody. Michael Cross here. I'm the Republican nominee for State Attorney General.
Well, there you go. You can still hear the speakers through Villain's feed, and you get to hear the interview. So
I'm
maybe
gonna
better
try to get some
audio.
interviews outside of there, as long as the speakers aren't too loud.
If anybody's had any food, if you could put a couple bucks, $1 or $2, if you've had a hot dog,
Let's see.
Oh, you sending me some honey? Dude, that'd be dope.
Everybody's paying attention so much, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let you guys listen to his speech.
Oh, that's epic. Both of you tanks are epic. Seriously, you really are.
Literally, that's what's going on here. So
Joe Ramirez.
The unfortunate thing is
Old school Joe.
what's going to
Welcome.
happen with this $90,000 fine? I mean, you know, my guess is that will devastate, that will close this, that will shutter this business doors, that will devastate his family as well as the people that work there. Now they're on the unemployment line. The fact that, well,
We've got
that would
some
be nice
stuff
if it doesn't
going on
have
in
to pay it,
Salem
but we
right
need to
now, Joe.
ensure that this stops.
It's a protest
whether
because
it's
a
OLCC
OSHA
or OSHA
inspector
or
fined
whatever,
$90,000 to a
stop.
gym
And these
that
fines-
refused to close.
So I don't know. Now, do we head to the court level? Or do we talk to his supervisor?
So they're
Do we say,
outside
"You
of
need to
that
unwind this?"
specific
Because it doesn't
inspector's
end
house
today. It doesn't
protesting.
end now. He still has a $90,000 fine unless it's been dismissed, which I doubt. So, okay, well, right, it's going to happen unless we stop it. So we know
The
that.
feeds
So-
I am noticing are
so
starting
the-
to kind of
the
go
fact
down.
of the matter is,
I found another one.
this is draconian. All these things are draconian, and it's ridiculous because you have a greater chance. It's on our Facebook page, Michael Cross for Oregon Attorney General on Facebook, and the statistics, we posted it there yesterday. You have a greater chance of dying from accidental injury. This was as of 2019, Oregon statistics, basically falling off your ladder, falling off your roof, these kinds of things. For 2019, that death count in Oregon was 2,270, give or take. Right around 2,200 people died last year from falling off or falling in the bath or falling things like this. Guys, and what's the science behind this as far as like saying that 6 feet or closing the restaurant, opening the restaurant, you have to wear the mask when you come in, but then when you sit down at the table, you can take it off. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. The bottom line, this is about control. Bottom line. She's a tyrannical governor. She's uniquely unqualified to be governor, and it needs to stop.
She's the worst governor
The Attorney
Oregon has
General is
ever
supposed
had,
to hold
hands down.
her in check. The Attorney General works for us, we the people. And she actually said, A.G. Rosenblum, the one that's in there now, said that I work for the governor, I work for Kate Brown, I'm her lawyer. Okay, that's patently false. Have you ever heard of any elected official working for another elected official? It doesn't happen. They all elected officials work for we the people. That's just be common sense. Why do I have to
Yeah, we've
explain
got
to a
Villain up.
30-year
Got only a
judge
Mr.
and
Bill.
an 8-year incumbent who she really works
We got
for?
some New Jersey
Okay,
Trump
if
folks
she was
out.
doing her damn job, this shit
I believe
wouldn't
this
be
feed
happening.
right here. Let me figure out where
Bottom
that feed
line.
is. Put it up on the
Bottom
screen.
line. So I think they stole the vote in Oregon.
Beverly
We're
Wood.
exposing many things like that. Do you know in Clackamas County alone, there were
Somebody knows where
90,000 ballots
Beverly
that came
Wood
in,
is.
and 90, at least most, if not all of the ballots were for Joe Biden. This is in Clackamas County, 90,000 of them. Now the other strange thing about that was they all looked like they came out of a box, brand new out of a box. No, you know, this was on election day, and the person that signed the sworn affidavit. We're taking affidavits of vote fraud, by the way. So if you know of some vote fraud, come see me. We have affidavits. I want to get you one, and I need your statement. We're collecting all of that. because the fact of the matter is that normally, this came from somebody, she signed the affidavit, 12-year poll worker veteran, that normally that doesn't happen. I mean, when it comes in on election day, invariably, if you're talking 90,000 ballots, a lot of them are going to have coffee stains. They're going to have, you know, life happens, right? The dog got to it. The kid got to it. It's got a crayon mark on it. It's got something on it, right? So not true in these. Not true in these. Something's not right. In Multnomah County, in my race, the incumbent got 80,000 more votes. That's an increase of 25% in Multnomah County. And Multnomah County only saw an increase of about 0.2%. So how did they get 80,000 more votes? I'm not seeing it, because your average voter in Multnomah County was not out there causing mostly peaceful protests at midnight. Your average Multnomah County voter was scared shitless inside their house, and our whole message on the voter's guide, on the website, everything was law and order. We backed the blue, and that's what people wanted. People wanted law and order back in Multnomah County, by and large. So we're looking into that too. We're also going to be doing some recounts on some precincts, and we need to do that. I think there's vote fraud going on, because actually Oregon is not really a deep blue state, but ever since we've had vote by mail,
Discord's actually pretty simple once you figure it out. I could understand how it could be complicated.
And that's not right.
A little bit in the beginning.
And we've been telling,
but once you go in there, you got all your channels basically on the left-hand side.
Bev Clarno,
and in ours, we have one main room.
Certify this vote. I said, if you certify this vote,
which is called Freedom Central, and then there's a whole bunch of other channels. You can click through them and see different stuff. But then everybody chats in the main chat room.
I'm hoping we get some help from the feds. I sent her, it's on our Facebook page, which is Michael Cross for Oregon Attorney General. I sent a scathing 2.5-page letter to Secretary Clarno, and I sent copies of that also to Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, I just got that warm feeling in my face.
Sidney Powell.
Buckle up.
You know, it all went to them. It all went to them. They know, and I've asked them for help. They'll be getting that. I sent it overnight mail. They're getting it tomorrow. And we need some help in Oregon. We do need some help, because I don't think, I mean, this is not right. This is not right at all. And I think a lot of Republicans in Oregon won. And I think Donald Trump won Oregon. I really do. I really do. The last time Oregon went to a Republican president was 44 years ago. And I think Trump pulled it off.
Mid-80s.
I think he did. So anyway, we need to keep the pressure up. Maybe we need to go talk to OLCC people. Maybe we need to talk to, you know, we can't let this go on. This needs to stop. Businesses need to reopen. And I think that everybody here, if the business was like, screw you, I'm going to open, we will be there and back them up.
Not on the way.
Absolutely. That's how we're going to take this back, because she's not going to give it to us. And, you know, what are we going to do? We're asking for crumbs? No. They work for us. And when you screw over we the people, then you're going to have to answer to we the people. Thank you guys for being here. I love you guys. The website's michaelcrossfororegon.com.
Hey everybody, I just want to make one statement. People's rights is nonpartisan. Everybody, regardless of Republican, Democrat, I quite frankly don't want to hear the word Republican and Democrat. I think it should be removed from the voters' guides. Everybody should be running based on their own merits, what they stand for, not based on their political party. We all have the same rights regardless. So when it comes to people's rights, I don't care if you're black, blue, yellow, brown, whatever, white, forgot white, whoops. I don't care if you are gay, straight, whatever. I don't care if you're religious, if you're not. Every single human being has these same rights, and we will stand together. So Democrat, Libertarian, Constitutionalist, Republican, any other non-affiliated, this is not about party. This is about the people, and that is every single one of us here. And I don't want to see the further division. We've got friends that are registered Democrats. We've got friends that are registered Republicans. Regardless, we are each other's neighbors, and we need to fight for each other regardless.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we have a huge announcement here. So Darwin's been going there for how many years? 6 years at Courthouse Gym, and he had talked to the owner today or yesterday, Friday. Okay, so he's going to say something real quick.
Okay, my name's Darwin Sandow, and I'm an Oregonian. So everybody from Washington.
So I don't actually handle the shipping over at the store of the tank.
And I've been going to the courthouse for 6 years. Since I
That's
got on
all handled.
disability.
All
Of course, I've been
everything with the
disabled
merch
since
store is handled
1980.
completely separate from
According to
me.
regulations, I couldn't get on.
They send it to you
Medicare.
directly. They handle all of that stuff.
25 because I had $1,200 of life insurance. All these rules, and now we got more rules that want to not let me go to therapy at the gym. I had surgery a year ago, and I couldn't walk. They took my foot. It was right down to the bone, and John Miller left the gym open so I can walk because I've been going to the pool therapy, silver sneakers for us old people. But what John Miller told the manager at West Salem, and Patrice relayed that message to all of us, that John Miller is not going to pay the $90,000 fine. He's willing to go to jail. And I emailed them yesterday and told them that I'm standing up for the courthouse gym. And
You ever get the
I know
feeling sometimes you're doing
he's
too
gonna
much
take care of us and leave
and
his
you
gym
might
open as
not
long
be
as he
getting
can. I looked on it today.
the same in
and there are
return?
no classes tomorrow as of yet. So he's still struggling because they're threatening to take him to jail.
I know, super vague post. I'll keep it at that.
I'm glad everybody came out here today.
You want the picture with the feet? Oh no.
Saw Gator in the crowd in the chat. How you doing, Gator? I saw Gary Lamb in there a little bit. I don't know if you guys are still in there. How you guys doing?
She comes up, wants to do an interview, and I said, okay.
Super vague post, nothing to do with here. Just wanted to put that out there.
And I said, pull your face mask down, or are you really that afraid of the virus? She went, she pulled it down and then backed up. And then it was interesting. I wanted to have a conversation with her, so it can't be taken out of context. I said, have you investigated the virus? Conversation's over on it. That's what she said. So, and that was a young lady from the Statesman. So, bottom line is, if you can't carry on a conversation with somebody, there's something wrong. What I'm begging everybody here to do, and I'll hand out cards, as many as I've got, but it's to do the research and don't be afraid to talk to people. Yes. People walk around these stores with their masks on. I haven't worn one yet, but they'll walk around with their head down and they're afraid to.
People keep putting up that Dark Sky Watcher on YouTube, not realizing that that was an Arizona stream from like 2 days ago.
I think that's a good start.
The guy puts it up live, but it's a restream.
Hey everybody, we're gonna wrap this up, but let's end with the Pledge of Allegiance. Hats off.
Thank you, Joe.
Where's our flag? Well, we've got a lot of them. Find a flag.
Oh, is he?
To you.
Okay, I'll pull him up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for being here, and we're gonna keep this going. So, text the rights to 80123, find out where we're gonna be next, and we will. Oh, if anybody can find if there is any trash, please pick it up. We want to make sure that we're leaving this
What
just as clean, if
platform?
not cleaner.
And is it
than we
because I'm
found
seeing was live, but I'm not seeing anything that is live.
Somebody come take this mic from me, Joey.
I think I got up to 6.
Yeah, come take this mic from me.
Oh, no, we're done, yeah?
Yeah, we're done.
What's up, brother? Got your ninja mask on today? Right on, bud. Let me see your flag. Turn around. It's a machine gun flag. Pretty cool. You having a good time? Yeah? Right on. Good to see you, buddy. This is preacher's son. Car coming. Car coming. How you doing, man? Good, man. How are you?
And if you have a link to an actual live video,
no, I didn't.
I'll put it up. But I've looked on both
Mr. Bill here.
YouTube for
Oh,
him
Mr. Bill.
and on Facebook, and I'm seeing was live, but not is live. But anyways, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we do happen to have a little bit of breaking news. Yes, folks. Breaking news. President-elect Joe Biden has injured himself while playing with his dog. Initial reports are saying he may never walk again. He may need a hip replacement. I'm just joking. But there's a pretty good chance he's going. Who knows how bad that is? Twisted an ankle. He may never walk again. President-elect Joe Biden was hurt on Saturday and is expected to be examined by an orthopedist out of an abundance of caution, according to officials. Biden team released a statement saying the 78-year-old slipped while playing with his dog Major and twisted his ankle. Out of an abundance of caution, he will be examined this afternoon. It's a developing story, folks. A developing story. We didn't see that coming. Somebody get him a life alert stat. I've fallen and I can't get up.
Hi, ladies. How you doing? Good. How you doing? Pretty good. I'm live on YouTube right now. Villain Report out of Portland. I document the riots and the protests. I'm just independent. I'm known as Villain Report. I started out documenting the riots in Black Bloc within the rioters, and I ended up getting done for that.
Joe.
But, what brings you? Thank you.
You, sir, are a real one. Thank you so much for the $10 dono on Cash App.
Are you in the area? Did you drive
Every
far
last
to get
little
here?
bit helps.
Online, but,
it doesn't matter if it's a penny to whatever.
What about
you,
this
sir,
event made
are a
you
real
feel
one.
like you
Thank
wanted
you
to
so
come and
much. It
take
helps
a-
keep
take
the
a
wheels
stand and
rolling
show your
around here.
presence?
So much love to everybody today. Y'all are killing it with those. I can't thank you enough.
They're not just this guy here.
Y'all are real ones. You really are.
Just putting people out of business. I know it goes above him. I understand that. But it's people like this that need to stand up against that tyranny, because when they're putting people out of business, it's not just that one business owner. It's the courthouse has probably, I don't know how many employees, probably.
I think that right there, everyone, if you've got cups up in the chat for Mr. Joe Ramirez.
Courthouse business owner, you're done. That's a big corporation.
Yeah, and they also don't have to give a $90,000 fine to every. They do it to one person, and
Cheers.
it scares the crap out of hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people.
You know what? Not only that, but they're closing down that club. That club is big in the Salem area. They help a lot of senior citizens that go there. They help people who have medical conditions that go there for therapy. They have people who obviously work out and want to stay in shape. There's a lot going on in that. It's not just a little gym where you go and work out. It's a big company, and this should not be happening to them. And I really appreciate. I just heard that the owner of that club said that he will go to jail before he pays that fine or he closes his store. And you know what? The moment that happens, we're going to all be right behind him and helping him. Whatever he needs, we're going to be there. And this is just a portion of us.
I think the sad thing about right now is that there's going to be a lot of people that describe themselves as patriots willing to and actually have to go to jail to bring light to these kind of things.
I'm one of them. She's one of them. A lot of us will do that. We are not afraid of that. It's like, bring it. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. We talked about it. We know that may happen.
I've got a news feed here that I saw earlier today that I think is pretty interesting. I think I'm going to pull that up.
Well, hopefully
On
events like this keep happening,
NTD.
they get bigger. I was impressed by the
Let me get that
turnout here
queued
in a
up.
small little town in a small neighborhood, so it was nice to see all these people.
It should be bigger.
Yeah.
Who you with, man?
What you say?
Who you with?
I'm independent. I'm Villain Report. I'm on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Parler, and Twitch.
Okay.
I'm live on YouTube right now.
Oh, you are?
Yes. So, thank you. All right, thank you, ladies. Thank you. Go find that man that just spoke, if he's still there. He is. Hi, how you doing? I'm an independent live streamer. I report on the ground. I've been following the riots and the protests the last couple months. I'm known as Villain Report. Villain, like moo-ha-ha, yeah. Because I report on the questionable things, and then I'm also kind of a villain in some ways. I saw your...
I gotta stop getting
just to let you know,
distracted.
I'm live on YouTube right now. I saw your speech up there, and I just wanted to come and talk to you personally if I could. So, what disability did you say you had? You had some issues with your foot?
Yeah, in 1980 I lost my eye.
So is that mainstream news there?
Fox 12, guys.
Oh, it's Fox 12. The only people wearing masks, apparently. That's how you know they're the media, but at least they showed up to cover it. But the problem is, with the media, you know what they're going to do? They're going to take this footage, they're going to take that interview, and they're going to snip out like 2 little pieces that are maybe a couple of seconds long, and they're going to make up their own story. That's the problem with it. But if you live in Oregon and you turn on Fox 12 tonight, and you see that story, you'll see how much different it looks knowing that you were here and you witnessed it.
Better watch out up there. Good job, good job.
Yeah, I just wanted to come by.
Took therapy at the gym for about 6 months, and I was doing fine, and then they locked us down in the 1st of March.
Yeah.
So here I had to go without, the support of the water and walking and building up my muscles in my leg and foot.
So you're not in, forgive me if my language sounds wrong, and I'm not trying to insult you at all, but as far as the government's concerned, you're not poor enough to get disability, but
We
you're
are
not,
shadow
you don't make enough
banned
money to
like
just flat out
no
pay
other,
for these
folks.
things that the government wants you. So you're looking at taking care of yourself through economical options, and this gym has been it sounds like kind of a godsend for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I can walk now, and I can actually stand on that foot.
In a minute here, I'll roll in this
Where I couldn't do that for over
NTD
How often do
article
you
that I
go
saw
do your
earlier.
individual therapy at the
But
gym?
it had a lot of good information. Again, the mainstream media is not talking about it.
All right. So that
But
place is
they've
pretty
got-
important for your lifestyle then.
They've got
Yeah.
a specialist, and he's basically said that 1.2 million votes out of Pennsylvania
So
he
what I'm
thinks
hearing from
could be
you
fraudulent.
and other people I've spoken to, this gym owner, he's actually a helper in the community and helps the senior citizen community and some others.
Those people that come in wheelchairs that can't walk.
Yeah.
And they have a ramp, a lift that puts them in the water. And for that hour, they're just dancing around in the pool. They can walk.
Yeah.
And they can't do that
Wow.
because they're in wheelchairs.
So this guy's literally helping people in wheelchairs dance, and the state says, no, you can't do this. We will not have this.
Yes.
Yeah.
They want to shut us down. The pool, at most, even when before the pandemic, had 30 people in it. We're lucky to get 10 now.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's sad. People are scared, and they're scared of the virus. They're scared of the government. There's a lot of fear going on right now.
There's people still today that won't.
I'm really surprised that the Tifas haven't shown up
Yeah.
down there in Salem to try to just counter the Patriots just because.
Yeah. There's a lot of fear going around, and it doesn't seem to be, from my point of view, it doesn't seem to be very rational. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of facts to back up that fear.
The media's been fear-mongering us with COVID.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for your story, sir. I hope that they keep that gym open so you can keep your foot exercise and keep walking around. Good luck. I'm an anonymous streamer, so I go by Villain, and you can find me on YouTube. I'm live right now, and we are at, it's not showing, we are at 76 minutes. So if you look up Villain Report, you'll find 76 minutes is the end of yours. Yes, sir. Yes. And the reason why I'm anonymous is because I film inside the riots sometimes, and the Antifa like to dox people, and I've kept my anonymity and my personal safety and wellness protected for the last couple months. So.
I'll remember that name, but if you told me your real name, I'd forget it probably.
Well, that's a benefit there. Well, thank you, sir. You have a good day. Thanks for speaking today. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Long time no see.
You're not long time, like a week or so. You didn't speak today, or did I miss you speak?
No, didn't speak today.
Didn't feel like it, huh?
Just supporting.
Where are your good boys at?
They're everywhere. Anywhere and everywhere.
What'd you think of this event today?
I liked it. It was really positive. They had a lot of good things to say. Everybody was respectful of the property. It went well.
For the audience watching that don't know who you are, can you tell them who you are?
Megan Marie.
And what do you do sometimes?
I lead these events.
Okay. Yeah, she led one of the events, not both of them, right? Just one of them.
A few of them.
She led a Stop the Steal event, the state capitol, Defeat the Steal, to try to there's a car coming, to try to stop the government from stealing votes, and had a big presence at the state capitol to get people to just make a show that there's not just a few fringe people that think that, but there's quite a lot of people that think that.
Portland Police Twitter has put out a statement saying that
all right, well,
there was a woman who was shot inside of her residence in the Lentz Powellhurst Gilbert neighborhood.
All the doggos, except for that little mean one. I want to look at this battery thing. Villain Report, VILLAIN Report. Report. Okay. Yeah.
So I just.
Look at this battery thing here. I need some portable, so it's a Jackery.
So the woman survived. I'll go ahead and read this real quick. But on November 29th, 2020 at 2:53 a.m., officers responded to a call of a person shot in the 11100 block southeast of Southeast Bush Street. Upon the officers' arrival, they found an adult female victim with gunshot wounds to her legs. So it sounds like two different, or at least multiple gunshots to either leg, because it says legs as in plural.
Well, you gonna let him stream?
Officers knew these injuries could possibly be life-threatening and immediately applied 2 tourniquets to her, one on each leg. The victim was transported to an area hospital with serious injuries. There is no suspect information and no arrests have been made. So if you ask me, to me that sounds like the victim didn't want to speak. I don't know how you get shot in both of your legs and inside of your home and not know who did it.
Thought you might want to say some.
How they don't have any suspect information tells me that person probably, who knows? I'm not going to make any guesses there.
Last
but
couple months, just try to talk to the men on the street and see what the average opinion is on certain things. What brings you out to this event today, waving a flag and wanting to show up and?
Yeah, it was a mostly peaceful shooting in Portland.
I agree. I'm sorry, it's a little bit noisy around. Can you speak up just a little bit?
No, I think there has to be a call to arms. There has to be people willing to stand up and fight. I'm actually in talks with the business owner about how.
Other than this thing that's going on in Salem right now. Okay, BCP's live now.
Yeah, it sounds like he is going to do that, so that is an awesome thing to do. Thank you again, the guy.
Thank you.
Only in the school.
Or he was. What the heck? Why am I not seeing his current feed?
So now it's up to the courts to say, send it to Congress.
Oh, there we go.
They will. They will. They'll get threats for years to come from you for being a part of it.
I mean, my understanding, this whole thing was one massive sting operation, and so the theory is that all these yahoos are going to get arrested here in the next week or two.
They will.
There's a lot of people that are very positive about all this.
But the watermarks, do you think the watermark balance is true?
Then I would be happy.
I believe he did something like that, but
Or they haven't. So he's down in Silverton, Oregon. I think that's the same place everybody else is at, down by Salem.
Until they come out and show the ballot with the watermarking tracker deal on it, it's all hearsay.
So I saw something about that in the Discord, Kentucky. Is that?
Executive order in 2008.
I heard there was a lot of good information coming out of that as well.
And that is why they're investigating the companies that are running the machines. Because one company is Canadian, another company is routing their numbers through Germany. What perfect chance to change votes than when they're going through another country?
Nobody can investigate it when it's way over there, except for CIA or somebody like that.
They got the servers.
Exactly. I know.
In Pennsylvania, I believe they proved 600,000 votes were changed from Trump to Biden.
So yeah, we've got the first General Flynn interview
Right there proves
since he was pardoned.
these elections are not fair, not just, not constitutional. And right then and there,
So we could roll that in.
job and send it to Congress.
So it ain't over yet.
No, it's far from it.
Yep.
And will the
Rancho Como shared that with us earlier.
worse when it does go to Congress and Trump does get reelected? Yes, Antifa's going to cry like little bitches that they are and continue their violence and their rioting and their looting. And when patriots stand up to them, they're going to go running to the police that they want to defund and get rid of. This continue for another 2 to 3 years.
What do you think about people that keep saying the press is setting it up for kind of a civil war by saying that he's the president-elect and everything, and when everybody finds it, I know, but the fake news says he is, so much that it gets.
Oh, we got fellow deer hunters out there.
Finds out that he's not president anymore. What's going to happen?
Media can continue to say he's the president-elect. Media does not declare our president-elect or our president. Our fucking Constitution.
I mean, we're getting.
I know. It's just
we're getting a lot of interviews here from the Patriots and stuff, but it sure sounds like this interview with General Flynn.
We were wrong. Trump is
For the first time since he was. Since he was pardoned, a lot of people talking about it, so there must be some decent information that came out of that.
I literally showed someone that I live with.
Yeah.
She is old school Democrat, like old school. I pulled up on the Smithsonian that the Democratic Party started the KKK. Okay, the Smithsonian, you don't get much more harder fact than the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
She still denied the fact that they started the KKK because it was on a computer and not in a book. Hard fact to her.
Yeah. My 9-year-old does the same thing.
Well, unfortunately, this one's 70.
Yeah, for those of you in the chat,
And yeah.
I'm sure most of you know, but I was able to harvest a black-tailed deer in Oregon. One of the hardest things, one of the hardest hunts I've ever had to do.
They were saying that.
Hello.
Not again! that the guy won.
Really, is the interview that good?
This was in Oregon, that the KKK got behind him and that he was a Republican. So then I went and I
Well, folks, we're all about spreading the news out here.
Republican on Wikipedia, and actually he was a Democrat. They just outright lied like that.
So why don't we roll that in? We'll monitor in case anything happens down there in Salem, but it sounds like we're just talking to a bunch of patriots and stuff. I say we inform the masses here and we get this interview up.
Slavery into the northern states of the United States. That is why the Republican Party was founded.
VW Broadcast Network exclusive. My guest, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, and his longtime friend, Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney, and national intelligence researcher and author, Mary Fanning. Yes, General Flynn joins us tonight, his first interview since his pardon from President Trump. He speaks for 30 minutes directly to the American people on what he sees coming and what we need to do and what has happened. And then General McInerney comes in with breaking news about the Kraken, what it really is. You're going to be shocked. And then we hear from the lady that broke it all, Mary Fanning, with her co-author, Alan Jones.
Chalupa is the blacker the tail, the sweeter the sausage.
2015. Folks, it's all coming together, and we get this
I'll drink to
exclusive
that,
tonight,
Chalupa.
right here at WVW Broadcast Network. The Worldview Weekend Hour begins right now.
WVW-TV presents the Worldview Weekend Hour with Brandon House.
A pretty
Whether
epic
the topic is law,
intro
science,
there, huh?
government, economics, history, family, social issues, education, or theology. Brennan brings the issues of today into clear focus through the lens of a biblical worldview. And now, here is your host, Brandon House.
Good evening and welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. A very special Friday evening, November 27th broadcast with General McInerney, Mary Fanning, and we'll be joined later by Alan Jones. We're going to cover a lot of very important topics tonight. Hold on just one second. Let's see if this call is. Hello, Brandon House. Thank you, General, for joining us. We've just gotten on the air. Let
You
me
just
announce,
answered the phone call
in fact,
while
let me have
on.
General McInerney. General McInerney, we have just been joined by a friend of yours. Would you like to introduce our friend to the broadcast audience tonight?
Yes, I would like to, Brandon, to let everybody know that General Mike Flynn is going to join us tonight in the few days that he has been pardoned by the United States, by the President of the United States. It is a great honor for us to have him and for he and I to speak along with Mary and Alan about the treason that has been committed
This is yours and
against
also a
this
card.
administration, this country, and this president. And General Flynn was a key part of that this threat that we are facing today did. So it's an absolute great honor to have you with us, Mike.
Absolutely.
And we must let America know what's happening.
Absolutely. With that, General, I am just going to give you the floor. I know you're on a cell phone, but I'm just going to give you the floor and let you speak to the American people. Thank you for joining us tonight.
So first of all, I want to just say thanks, Tom, for getting a hold of me and asking me to come on tonight. And Brandon, appreciate you connecting me in. I don't know what your audience is or who we're speaking to tonight, but I would tell you what's happening in this country should never happen. And we are going through, there's no doubt in my mind, we're going through a crucible of history. And if we don't correct what it is that's happening right now.
Yeah, we did breaking news on that one weird girl. We saw he twisted his ankle while playing with his dog.
Hate to even think about what will happen in our country going forward into the latter part of December and certainly into the next month. I do not believe
Oh,
for a second
she's
that
back.
The
The wife is back.
will accept
You were already down to your last
Vice
one.
President Biden as the next
Oh man,
president
I'm not trying to
based
catch
on
up, but I'll drink to
what
that.
we know to be probably the greatest fraud that our country has ever experienced in our history. I mean, what we're seeing, what I'm in right in the middle of it right now, and I will tell you that, first of all, the president has clear paths to victory. They have clear paths to victory, and they actually don't require a lot of courtroom action. What they require is they require a lot of honesty out of elected officials and, frankly, a lot of Americans who are coming forward and telling us their stories. I mean, the hundreds and hundreds of Americans around the country in different states, not just the swing states, but many, many other states that are coming forward with their stories and putting them
The only
down
reason I'm
on
cutting in on it,
affidavits
Kentucky, is
as
because a
witnesses.
lot of
We had-
folks have been
we had
talking to me and
probably
asking me
10 or
to
12
roll it in. So
affidavits
while
come
we're
in from
monitoring the other
one
stuff,
particular state today.
we should absolutely be
And
hearing this
because there's been a
information.
number of threats to people, these particular patriots, they sent their photos in with their affidavits and said, put mine up at the top of the list, because I want people to know that I'm not going to be afraid of these people that are threatening our country and our way of life. And so I say all that, and on one hand, and the other hand, as I just described, we have clear paths to victory for this president. And frankly, he's going to win Pennsylvania. He's going to win Arizona. He's going to win Georgia. He's going to win Nevada. He's going to win Michigan. And the other one that he's probably going to pull in is Wisconsin too, because there's a discrepancy
Can't have,
in
then you don't have to
Wisconsin
be
of
here. Get out.
130,000 fraudulent ballots that they just found, they just discovered. So there's a lot of things happening, and it's all, to me, it's all positive. I was asked today on a scale of 1 to 10 who will be the next president, and I said 10, it'll be Donald Trump. It'll be President Trump. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind that he won this election hands down in a landslide, probably somewhere between 350 and 400 electoral college votes. What we have seen is over, and I know this, I mean, over the last probably 2 decades and probably longer, I could, give you a little bit of a history lesson in that, but I won't. But over the last couple of decades, what we have seen is a complete shift in how fast I believe that Communist China, in their long-term plan, decided that to sort of move up their plans to become the global superpower, sole global superpower on the planet. And their sort of plan was by about the middle of this century that we're in right now. And I believe during the last 2016 election, when they didn't get the candidate that they needed and the kind of ideology that they saw America moving towards, they were not going to allow 2020 to happen. And so now what we have is this theft with mail-in ballots, the theft with this software, Smartmatic software, and Dominion, these Dominion systems. I mean, these are systems that are not owned by this country. They're not owned by this country. They're owned by other. They were introduced into this country. I mean, how can we say, as the United States of America, how can we say that we accept a system that is not made in this country, and not even, and in many cases, the ballots aren't even tallied in this country? How can we say that here in this country, that we accept that? The one thing, and for you all and for all your listeners, the one most precious thing that makes me the same as the wealthiest guy or gal on the planet, or the poorest person in America, what makes us equal? What makes us equal is when we go in to a voting booth and we close that curtain, or we go in there and we lean over to vote. My vote matters the same as the guy who's the richest guy, in America. It matters the exact same. That's where we are equal, and that's why this has to be fair and free. And it was not. And we probably, in fact, we know we have evidence of previous elections where this happened as well, but we're now focused on this one. And I'm going to tell you, we're not in this to lose. We are not in this to lose these battles. We're in this to win these battles. And I believe we're going to. I believe we're going to win. And I'm confident we are, because we have the right people. We have the right plan and strategy. And, it's a little bit of direct and a little bit of indirect that we're taking. And people are talking all the time to each other. So anxious, and you probably hear it in my voice that I'm a little anxious because I just cannot believe.
Oh, really?
The
That is
media
news, Jay.
and the censorship that is going on. I mean,
Maybe that
just
whole
look
playing
at
with
what
the
they
dog
do
hurt the
to
ankle.
The President of the United
Abundance
States
of caution.
America. Look at what Twitter is doing to the President of the United States of
Maybe
America.
that's just an excuse to get into the doctor and get out.
It's
Something to keep an eye
infuriating
on.
to me. It's an abomination of the First Amendment, our freedom of speech. And frankly, for the President of the United States of America, the only means that he really has to be able to communicate is when he walks outside or he goes in front of a group of people, or he walks outside and talks to the press, or he uses social media to communicate, because the media is not going to allow him to get his message out there. I mean, the major not press conference, but the hearing that they had in Pennsylvania the other day, and if anybody had a chance to watch it, I mean, it was an extraordinary hearing with politicians from Pennsylvania, senators on a panel, and the one senator that ran the panel for the state of Pennsylvania, that listened to the hearing, listened to a bunch of witnesses, listened to Rudy, listened to Jen Ellis and others on their team. The individual that ran it was a retired military colonel, and he's now a state senator in Pennsylvania. And he gave, at the very end of it, he gave a really good short summary speech. And it was heartwarming because it was sort of a mom and apple pie that, hey, we can't allow this to happen in our country. We cannot, portray ourselves to the world as a third world nation. And it was a really, really good, closing speech. And what did Twitter do? Twitter took him offline immediately. They completely removed his Twitter account so people couldn't follow this guy. I mean, it's just outrageous. It's outrageous. That's a social media company that is part of the public square. They are taking advantage of what they have been given, which is a real privilege, and they're abusing it. And so anyway, I could go on and on. I'm gonna stop and just see if you have any questions on anything, or you want to jump in on anything that I said. But I'm upset. I am determined. I'm going to be resilient, and I believe that I reflect millions and millions and millions of people across this country who feel the exact same way that I do.
Absolutely. Folks, we're being joined, if any of you new joining us, by General Michael Flynn. And General, you mentioned in your statement you put out the other day, thanking the President of the United States, you mentioned and you used the word coup. You mentioned we never again should allow this to happen to the American people. You used the word uprooted, undercut, usurped, or held hostage by a coup against our nation. Would you care to expand upon the word coup? Because I know General McInerney has used the word over and over, coup d'etat. I know you're not a man given to hyperbole, so I know that word did not make that into your statement you released for no reason. Would you care to expand upon the use of that word?
Sure. I mean, I think what we experienced over the last 4 years, and certainly in the late 2016, very late 2016 and early 2017 period, was a very strong effort to unseat a duly elected president and really try to remove Donald Trump by just political pressure, by technology pressure, by financial pressure early on in his tenure. Maybe to get him to just say, you know what, I'm not gonna, I don't need this. I'm not gonna put up with it, and walk away. I think that there was some sentiment. In fact, I know there was some sentiment to maybe he'll just, he's the guy from New York. He's not a politician. He'll just say, you know what, I don't need this stuff. I got better things to do, and leave. And thank God that he didn't. And that then lasted. When he didn't, that then continued. That effort continued to go after him in any way possible to remove him through some means, whether it was the fake Russiagate, Spygate, or whether it was the fake impeachment, or some of the other, the kind of stuff that we're seeing with this COVID situation that we're having to deal with now. So that's the first phase, if you will. That was still that's something that's been going on for years. Now we're moving into something different. So and not different in terms of it. This is still a coup in progress, but now it's a little bit different. And it's actually sort of they upped their game. When they lost in 2016, I think that there was a decision, and I believe this, and that there was some type of decision to say we're not going to allow this to happen again. I mean, all you got to do is go back and listen to some of the comments this past summer from some of the senior people that were that are part of this Democratic Party, right? I mean, Hillary Clinton won being, I think it was back in July or certainly mid-summer time frame where she said, no matter what, Joe Biden should not concede. What are we talking about there? I mean, why would she say that in the middle of the summer, 3, maybe 4 months before an election? So one of the things that I do know from my experience, in the military and in different places around the world is when your enemy tells you that they're going to do something, you better pay attention to what they said. And you better have some plans, and you better have some ideas about how to deal with that if in fact that does come to fruition. Well, in this case, we have opposing camps in our opposing camps of our political parties, and we know that the political party on the left is really way over on the left. Now, I have a hard time calling someone a Democrat or the Democratic Party. That's a name only, folks, because it's really the Democratic Socialist Party of America that has, usurped and taken over that element, and they are a very loud voice. And so they're Katie bar the door assault on us, on our country and our way of life, and they're doing anything they can right now to try to pretend like, okay, nothing to see here, and Joe's going to be our next president here. And I'm just telling you, it's the level of fraudulent activity definitely what I would describe as what we have seen and what has been reported to us as certainly criminal behavior. But that remains to be seen because that's something that would have to be further investigated. But from the civil side of what I know people are involved in, there's definitely thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of ballots. So what happened in a very strategic way is that the electronic vote did not achieve the result that they needed on the 3rd of November, on Tuesday, the 3rd of November. The electronic vote did not achieve the result that they needed to be able to get them over the top and get the votes that they needed, because essentially the system was not, the systems were not set up in a way to get the vote count to where it needed to be, and at the same time kind of hiding how they were doing it, mixing numbers and such, and doing it in different ways in different states. So when that happened, they realized, okay, we have to stop. We have to shut down. Unheard of, unprecedented. And then Vice President Biden goes to bed. And they shut down, 5 states that night. Shut down, stopped. How do we ever allow that to happen? And then, of course, over the next couple of days, really from the 4th of November through the 7th of November, we start to see the mail-in ballot, the whole instance of mail-in ballot fraud. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of evidence and a whole bunch of people that have come forward. I mean, there's probably a couple of hundred, and I'm lowballing it, affidavits, people who have stood up and said, I'm sick of it. And these are Democrats and Republicans. We just got another piece tonight.
The swamp, folks. The swamp does not discriminate.
From a Democrat, a woman who's just absolutely sick and tired of what she saw, and she just wasn't sure what to do, and she finally said, I got to go forward, and I got to report this. I can't live with myself. That is what's happening with people who are feeling in their heart that sense of patriotism to still say, look, I don't want my country
crazy
to
what's
turn
going
into
on in our
something
country
else
right
because
now.
that's what these people want. They do not want our country to be the republic that it is. They want it to be something else and change it.
Yeah, Jeeber,
as we
good to see you,
heard
brother.
one president say, you know, we want to fundamentally change America. And that's not what people want. People want to live the life that they have with the liberties and freedoms that we have under this great constitutional republic that we have. So that's sort of where we are, and that's what I mean by that. This is an ongoing effort. It's not to go take the Capitol, go take the radio station like we've done, you know, in the past, you know, in our own history, years ago in Central America or the Caribbean or over in some of these other countries where we've participated or we've supported some of this stuff, or we certainly have watched it in other third world nations. Now it's happening in our country, and we cannot stand for it.
It's a new way of warfare, is it not, General? Is that what you're saying? This is kind of the new way of warfare, and it is cyber warfare. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's cyber. It's a combination of things. It's certainly information. It's information. I mean, it's how you leverage information, how you leverage, you know, the whole thing about psychological operations is you have to make sure that you pick the target and then repetition with the message over and over and over and over has to occur. And it's the only way you can do that in a country our size with all of the ways that we communicate is you've got to basically get the media on your side. And look at how many that's taken some number of years, but
I'll show you.
I can't
Seattle,
stand here
Jeeper.
and tell you that that's not the case, because it is. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows the quote unquote mainstream media, which is a pretty robust group of organizations, and that includes the tech companies, right? When I say tech companies, the social media tech companies, everything from Facebook to Instagram, of course, Twitter I mentioned. All of these things are just, it's, you know, they are trying to control a narrative and tell the American people what they should know instead of allowing the American people information.
Like a
and
fried chicken. It was
letting
amazing.
each of us decide what's important or not.
Didn't burn the house down.
Brainwashing. It's information warfare. It's brainwashing. It's psychological operation. It's those things that you studied and others study when they go through SEER school, correct?
Well, it's more than that. It's more than that. But yeah, it's the type of warfare. And in fact, you know, if you study Chinese doctrine has 6 phases. The first 5 phases all have to do with information. The last part of it would be if those failed, or if you needed an additional, you know, oomph, so to speak, you go to the gates, I say. You know, that's when you may see something kinetic. But we're in this sort of period of information warfare it's unprecedented. I mean, again, I'm gonna stand in my box here and say the president of the United States of America is being censored by U.S. companies.
All of us conservatives are being censored. You can see right now. I'm being censored.
I'm at a loss.
They keep throttling the dang
sometimes
feed and shadow ban us so nobody can find us.
I talk about it, you know, a couple of times a day to different people in different groups, and I'm trying to say, okay, you know, at a certain point in time, we have to, you know, that has to stop being allowed. When a company says what you just said, Mr. President, you know, is not totally the truth, or there's fraud involved here, or fraud hasn't been proven. I mean, how dare they do that to the President of the United States? Because he's not going to get a fair shot.
Yeah, I'm still a bit hungover today after last night's stream. We had a lot of fun in here last night.
The interview that he did, I guess it was yesterday, where he had I mean, somebody's talking to the President of the United States in his office there, and he had to counsel the person. Don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to the President of the United States like that. I mean, it's like a bunch of school punks in a schoolyard. You can't have that. We can't have that in this country. I mean, debate and sharp questions, but not totally disrespect. To not just the president. You may not like him, and that's fine. But he represents the presidency of the United States of America. He represents our flag, our Constitution, our country. And so actually, everything that we are
Live stream
experiencing
the
right
deep
now
fry?
actually is more than just an
I did
assault
get some video of it.
on President Trump. This is an assault on the American Republic, on this
It started
great country
raining
that
too
we have.
while I was deep frying the turkey.
People around the country, I know,
350-degree
they're fed up
hot
with
peanut
it,
oil.
and they're not going to put up with it. And what
And then it starts
what they're waiting
raining.
to see is they're waiting to see the outcome of their own
We're
elected
really lucky
officials in the
nothing bad
states,
happened.
do their job, and just because CNN or Fox News or a governor or a secretary of state certify an election, if the state legislature has not certified the election, then it's not certified in a particular state. And if there's a challenge and there's a legitimate legal challenge, then they can't sit there and certify it while there's a legal challenge ongoing. It's just not the way it works. So the media is not going to cover any of that for you. The big media, they're just not going to cover it. And it's sad because they're trying to shove it down our throat. And the American public, they see right through it.
Well,
Brandon,
and we're
good to
thankful
see you, brother.
came to us, one of the alternative media sites, and these are all growing rapidly. And when they all are added together, you're reaching millions upon millions of people through the new media. I don't want to keep you, General, longer than you want to stay. You've been very generous. I would like to ask you just a couple more questions. We have people that I know are getting frustrated. They're pacing the floor. I mean, there really is upsetting to them to see what the media is saying and how it's discouraging people. But you're
Cheers,
telling
everybody.
them to hang in there, that this is going to all work out. I don't know if you can speak to it or not. If you cannot, just say so. But I know that Sidney Powell has been speaking about a lot of information that will be coming out. She wants to get it into court, not to the media to try it, but into the court. But can you or can you not speak to any of the hard evidence related to the server in Germany?
I don't want to speak to that right now.
Okay.
She's mentioned it, and she's actually has some really good filings. They just filed another amendment, I believe, in Georgia. So they filed in Georgia, they filed in Michigan just today, and probably within the last hour or two, they just filed another amendment to those in Georgia and back again in Michigan. And I think the next couple of priorities, are looking at some of these other states where there's some big challenges. But you really do have to go and dig into. And this is the challenge. You've got to go and dig into the filings instead of reading a soundbite here or there, because it's our life. This is our country. This is the time in our history where if we don't get this right, this country is done. It will be over, as we know it. And as I stand here talking to you, I'm not standing here for me. I'm standing here for my children, my grandchildren, and frankly, the beacon of hope that we are as a country. And I would say, and I'll just wrap it up because I'm going to have to jump here. There are paths to victory. I mean, it's clear, and so key states are Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin. Michigan, Arizona, Nevada. I mean, there's ways that the president can get to, and his team can get him to the margin that he needs to win without Pennsylvania. But he's going to win Pennsylvania too. So I'll leave you and I'll leave the audience with this, because I don't want my tone to be so strong where you sense a frustration. I'm really not frustrated. I'm determined, and I am going to remain resilient to this assault that we have ongoing by elements in our country that are trying to tell us, don't look here, everything will be just fine. It won't be. We cannot have this. We cannot allow this. We are going to get this straight. We're going to straighten it out. It's going to be done properly. It's going to be done legally. It's going to be done correctly. And it's going to be done with American patriots who love this country and who are fighting like warriors on a legal battleground for sure, with people like Cindy Powell, like Rudy Giuliani and his team, like people like Lynn Wood, who's fighting tooth and nail. And most people don't even know his case that he's got going on in Georgia just got picked up by the 11th Circuit down in Georgia, and that's a good sign, because that means that the one judge down there that thought he was going to dismiss his case, the 11th Circuit pulled it out of him and brought it up to their level, to an appeals level, because they saw that there was enough evidence. So I believe we're going to see some momentum changing here. There already is an undercurrent of momentum shifting for the president, and I believe that at the end of the day, we're going to find out that he won by a massive landslide, and he'll be inaugurated come this January.
General, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your service to our country, and you've honored us with your words tonight and your time, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us and speak to the American people. And not only are we live, but of course we will then put this out as a broadcast that will go far and wide. So you'll be encouraging an awful lot of people by taking the time tonight. So General, thank you for doing that.
Great, friend. And Tom, thank you for getting me the invite. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, General. General Flynn. All right, now we're going to be joined back again by General McInerney, Lieutenant General McInerney, Mary Fanning. Wow, I don't know how much of that you guys could hear because I was having to go off the cell phone, but could you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, General, McInerney, would you like to comment on what your friend had to say? And thank you for helping set that up.
Well, it is absolutely vital, because this is the first time that I believe that General Flynn has been able to speak publicly and in such an environment. And so I want to thank you, Banyan, for setting this up. I know Mary talked to you, and it's very important what you are doing tonight, because it is a fast-moving train. And that's why I wanted you to do it, because we are seeing the most unprecedented situation in the history of America. This is the most dangerous situation since the Civil War of keeping this nation united. And why do I say that? In the Civil War, it was just warfare. Today, you and General Flynn talked about cyber warfare. And cyber warfare is hidden. It's mystical. You don't see it coming. It happens. And all of a sudden, 138,000 votes or 150,000 votes, all of a sudden they show up. And because we're looking at computers, we assume they're all legitimate. But in this particular case, they are not legitimate. And because of what Sidney Powell has been doing, who was General Flynn's lawyer, and what she submitted in the state of Georgia and Michigan on Wednesday night, the night before
I just realized I was muted like a dummy.
Document in those lawsuits from a Dr. Navid Kishavaritz-Nia.
Let's try that again.
Who is a 59-year-old resident of California.
The $10 Cash App dono. Thank you so much, sir. You are a real one.
Expert.
And with that, he says, for all the good works, SEAL Team 711 appreciates you. I appreciate you. And you, sir, are a patriot. Thank you so much.
In which I am quoted and independently confirming he uses my name, Kirk Wiebe, who is a former NSA official and a good friend of ours and working with Mary and I, and Dennis Montgomery, a former CIA analyst.
Apparently it froze on his face.
Creator, inventor of the hammer and scorecard capabilities. And that's what we broke. And we broke it on Sunday and Monday before the election, saying that this was going to be an action that will happen, and what transpired did in fact transpire. And Mary was very instrumental in informing me of this information, and all of a sudden, 2.5 days before the voting started on the 3rd of November, this was the 1st of November, I became involved in the voting game. My background is a military analyst. For 16 and a half years,
I'm not killing
I
it.
was on
Y'all is killing
Fox
it.
News
Y'all
as
some
a
real ones, for
military
real.
analyst. I have been the number 3 man in the Air Staff and the Air Force. And
Every time I go live, I
so
swear I just get
I had
amazed
a
by
great background,
the
but what
generosity
made
and the
this so
kindness
easy for me,
of the
Brandon,
conservatives
is
of this
I run
world,
a cloud company,
and how much
an
of a
edge
need there
cloud
is
company.
to get the real
I am
news out there.
intimately familiar with this kind of technology and what it's doing, and lived by it in my military days. Everybody remembers when we attacked Tripoli in 1986, and Gaddafi. I was the commander, and they launched from my bases in England. Now, I got that information.
If
from the
somebody has a
British
link to Behind Enemy
other
Lines, it looks
sources.
like PDX
But my whole
Ninja
life
is
has been based on
streaming out
And what
Behind
I'm
Enemy
seeing
Lines.
now
If
is
somebody has a link
those
for that in the
technologies
Discord,
now
I
are
would
used
appreciate it.
against the American people. They are trying to seize
Welcome back to that one
control
weird girl.
of this nation
And isn't it? It's so easy to do.
technology and through cyber warfare. And they have enlisted, to include Fox News, who flipped on us. They have enlisted the mainstream media and the First Amendment to try to get on their side. And General Flynn talked about the censorship.
Hearty joke.
For instance,
Thank you
that
so much for
Twitter
liking the
does,
stream.
and determines what President Trump can say. That is ridiculous. It must stop. But because of all these assets, and they are using and misusing the Constitution of the United States, they have put us in a position that our forefathers were not aware of cyber warfare. And so when they set out in the Constitution the process of our election and going through the Electoral College, the voters meeting on 14 December, announcing who the president will be, and then going through in the 20th of November, the inauguration, that was not
Jay,
based
thank you so
upon
much for that.
cyber warfare. And so we have a time clock, and I bring this up to our listeners, we have a time clock, and we have to go through the legal system that was not designed to operate in the cyber world. And so we have many judges turning down and not recognizing
Jay's always on it.
what has happened. And so that is the challenge that we are facing. And what my point I want to get across tonight, it doesn't matter if we have locked and sealed this decision process by the 14th of December. The president should not leave office until it is adequately here. We, the American people, will demand that these facts be analyzed and looked at. And I'm going to cover some of those facts that have made it so compelling to me that there is no question about it. And let's start with the vote count distribution in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia are not based on normal system operation. They are caused by fraudulent electronic manipulation of the targeted voting machines. For instance, at 2:30 a.m. on the 4th of November, TV broadcast reported that Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia have decided to cease vote counting operations and will continue the following day. This unanimous decision to initially and intentionally stop counting by all 5 battleground states is highly unusual. As a matter of fact, it is unprecedented, and it demonstrates prior coordination by election officials in battleground states, those 5 states that General Flynn mentioned. And because of this big flashing light to anybody that is understands the voting process, it immediately flags.
Oh, he must have went
this, and we
offline. So it's
start
looking like
looking at
PDX
each one
Ninja
of
was
those
basically
states because they
restreaming
didn't stop counting.
Behind Enemy
All of a
Lines
sudden,
from D
in
Live.
Michigan, at 4 o'clock in the morning, 138,000
We'll give it a second to see if he comes
show
back
up.
on.
All for, guess who? Biden. He was behind in all those states when they decided to cease voting. And that's where they employed the cyber warfare, the hammer and scorecard, plus the Dominion
Yeah, basically
voting
PDX
machine
Ninja
and the software in them.
That's where they put these applications on, like your iPhone, and they got a smooth
Is
voting.
restreaming behind enemy lines for whatever reason off of D Live, like screen sharing. That way people can still get it on Twitch.
138,000 in Michigan, 100,000 or 90,000 in Arizona. Now this is notional. A different one in Nevada and Georgia and Pennsylvania. But the important point was they were exactly at the same percentage.
We'll keep an eye on it to see if he comes back up.
This is a mathematical impossibility that this could have happened, and it means an algorithm was used. And this algorithm was designed to stay within the bounds, and when the assembled numbers
Oh,
were
really? PDX
put
Ninja
together,
fans
it wouldn't
got
be obvious
him banned on
that
Twitch?
these numbers of votes were inserted. And so this is a huge flashing red light. And it's important that people understand with this kind of data that we're seeing. Some more numbers that are interesting. Sydney pointed out in Georgia that there are 96,000 absentee votes that were disregarded in Fulton County. They had a water
And
leak.
just like that, see ya.
Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania mailed out 1.8 million votes to their citizens. The state did. These are not absentee ballots. These were these ballots that have no chain of custody. Lo and behold, Brandon,
You're gonna come on here and be a troll.
million came
You're
back.
gonna get the boot.
If someone had to have a printing press,
Ain't nobody got
or
time for that.
cranking them out. That is just the pure sniff test that doesn't require a genius to understand. If you mail out 1.5 and 1.8 and get 2.5 million back, something is wrong. Now, Sydney and the president, through I believe General Flynn, have got the Kraken organization, the 305 Military
Periscope?
Intelligence Battalion, working with them. Because in all of this, we have not seen any footprints of the DOJ, of the FBI, nor the CIA on the friendly side.
Wait a minute.
It's been on the deep state side.
Let me just stop you there, General, because you just said something very interesting. You just said that who has just opened up the Kraken, and then you just described what the Kraken was. We all know the term because of Sidney Powell using it, but you just said what it is. Can you back up on that?
Yes. Sidney got the term Kraken.
Yeah, I thought he left too,
That's
Tank's
the
wife.
nickname of the 305th Military Intelligence Battalion. And that has been her source, along with other sources that Mary and I know about, but we don't want to talk about. And so we're getting the different sources that are relaying this. But the important thing is they identified, now get this.
So Black
they
Rebels
identified
apparently in Vancouver
China,
says.
Iran, and Russia as
Let me pull up his tweet.
being involved in this and manipulating the votes. In
He just
addition,
put out this tweet. Vancouver PD
The
showed up
US
in riot gear. Now he's live on
US
Periscope. So
Special
we've got
Forces
Black Rebel
Command
down below there. Thanks
seized
to Mr. Andezant.
a server farm in Frankfurt, Germany, because they were sending this data from those 5 states or 6 states through the internet to Spain and then into Frankfurt, Germany. Special Operation Forces seized that facility. So they have those servers. And they know all this data they are providing.
Did that go down without
Now-
incident, by the way? Did that seizure go down without incident?
Well, I've heard it didn't go down without incident. I haven't been able to verify it. I want to be careful in that. It's just coming out. But I understand my initial report is that there were U.S. soldiers killed in that operation.
What?
Now, that was a CIA operation. And so that's the very worrisome thing. Did that occur because of what Mary and I and Alan were notifying on the Sunday and the Monday in different networks that this was going to happen, that they were using hammer and scorecard, and so they decided to bounce it overseas so the server farms that Hammer and Scorecard were using in the continental United States couldn't be used. I don't know that. In any case, it makes it more vulnerable because when you start moving that kind of data overseas, other people look at it.
But you are saying that was a CIA facility, and that was where the server was taken
We're
from.
typically not this
by
shadow
Special
banned,
Forces
but we've
was
been
a
pretty shadow
CIA
banned the last
facility
couple
in Germany.
streams.
That's correct. Frankfurt, Germany.
But we're going to put the news out there regardless.
Now, we have all this information. General Flynn, of course,
So
people
they're
must
saying
realize,
soldiers died
was the
during the
senior
raid
military
of the servers.
intelligence officer
Am I hearing that
in
correct?
the U.S. commands of the Defense Intelligence Agency. He's a career intelligence officer, knows this stuff backwards and forwards. And from my experience in the cloud business, this was a trivial operation, relatively speaking. But the magnitude, because so many people, Brandon, were involved, so many people, like General Flynn mentioned, a Democrat person saw this, are coming forward. But what we are doing, we are competing with the Constitution and the 14 December date for the Electoral College. And why? Because we have this information, and we know that not only did we have the deep state in the executive that President Trump had to fight, we also had it in the legislature where you have Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, all of those people were involved in this. They were involved in the Russian hoax. They were involved in this coup d'etat. But we also had the judiciary. And Judge Sullivan, who was General Flynn's judge, outed himself on this. And so you have the compromise there, and that's why
I think we lost Black Rebel. We can try coming back to him in a minute.
were targeted and selected, I believe, because the president could trust them. That's why Chris Miller, who is now the acting Secretary of Defense and a former Special Operations hero, that's why Chris Miller is the Secretary of Defense.
And yet nobody's reporting it.
about
Nobody's reporting that this raid, the reports you hear about that raid didn't happen, folks. It's fake news. That's what you hear on mainstream media.
Well, that tells you something.
But this is pretty obvious to me. This absolutely happened.
We had to tighten up because there are people that are part of this conspiracy.
And U.S.
This is
soldiers
treason,
died.
what we're talking about. Some people may just think, oh, it's just politics. Yeah, all right. So President Obama...
This is the greatest fraud that has ever come over our nation, folks. I'm just so glad patriots are finally waking up.
So the Democrats used it during the primaries so Bernie Sanders would lose and Biden would win.
Seattle Jeeper, it's the servers that were running basically the Dominion, the voting machines. There was a raid. They went in after those servers, and apparently CIA was involved. Soldiers were killed during the raid, and the mainstream media is out there telling people that it doesn't exist, didn't happen, fake news.
Those people, like the head of the Chris Krebs, who's the head of the Cyber Warfare Infrastructure Security Agency, he was until he was fired a couple of weeks ago or more by the president because this was a perfect election. He is guilty of treason.
Yeah, that's insane.
He had to be complicit, and people must understand that. You people that have done this are guilty of treason against the United States, and we are going to demand this president, insist this president not leave office until the American people have had a full disclosure of what's going on.
What you're saying,
now,
General,
if we have reasonable...
You know what Trump needs to do?
What you're saying is that President Trump needs to fulfill his oath that he took to defend America.
Trump needs to declare martial law. He needs to come out and let everybody know how deep this is and how bad it is, and he needs to declare martial law.
That oath. Is that what I hear you say?
I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but what that'll do is that'll allow Trump to stay in office while we figure this out. Martial law doesn't mean that we have to restrict the people.
The president has in his,
it just means that government cannot operate, and if the CIA is really this deep involved, well, that sure sounds like it to me.
and we shouldn't let a schedule.
But martial law would allow him to stay in office. Something to think about.
Flawed that anybody can understand that with just the items I've given our listeners tonight. And when you have hundreds of thousands of votes that were falsified, and we know they're falsified. And by the way, I believe
Slice,
those
you might be
servers
right.
are going to show that. And I believe that he is going to show that.
You could be
It'll
right,
probably
but
have
I'd
to
say
be done
that
at the Supreme Court, because
this
you
could have,
have
this stuff has probably been going on
judges
for
like
multiple
Sullivan
elections.
that are
Like,
going to
we've
try to
probably,
protect themselves,
who knows if we've had a
because
free and fair
fingers
election
are
in
gonna
this country
start
for who knows how
pointing to
long. And we're the
everybody.
We're the
Well,
bastion
I
on
didn't
top
know
of the
this,
hill
I
that
didn't
provides
know
freedom.
that.
We're the beacon
they're gonna
of light
use
on
the
top of that
Nuremberg
hill that
trial.
provides freedom
Well,
for the rest of the world.
The Fuhrer told me
We
to
give
do
that
this.
hope.
They're going to say, well, President Obama knew I was
But it would
doing
make a
it.
lot
He
of
told
sense
me
why
to
a
do
lot
it.
of us have been sitting
And,
back going,
or
what's
Vice
going on with
President
this
Biden,
country? It doesn't
Biden
make
was
sense.
The runner here, he told me to do it. You know, they're going to point fingers. But when you have people that are driving up in cars with carloads of ballots, some not even folded, and they're driving them into these 5 or 6 battleground states.
Rancho, good looking
they're
out.
going to talk.
I appreciate that.
They
I
don't
will
want
look
to
for
be
it.
involved in treason. And so people are going to talk. The magnitude of this and the vote, because I think the president won in such an overwhelming vote. Well, I know he did, that they had to do these things. And these were not, they're no skilled in the craftsmanship.
Pretty sure president can declare martial law. I don't believe he needs Congress to do it.
With the numbers
Could be
that
wrong
they
on
had come
that.
up with and determined were needed. And doing that in real time, you had a
let's find out.
analog of trying to get ballots. Then digital was easy. You can just change the numbers. And I won't give the chap's name, but someone, a Republican on television last night, was saying why it would be so important for
The answer is, on a national level, both the U.S. President and the U.S. Congress have the power to impose martial law, since both can be in charge of the militia.
We cannot let them use hammer and scorecards.
So Congress and President
in my
both
opinion, we
have
can't
the power
these
to declare
mail-in
national
ballots
or
in
martial
Georgia
law on their
done.
own.
They should leave the polls open, but they must get a chain of custody. We can't have this absolute disregard for the laws of the land, and by judges and by legislatures. They must get hold of this. There is a path, but I believe that the Democrats are going to think this is politics, and they're going to try to shut that down. Well, if they do, then the American people must demand that the president stay in office until this is cleared up, because it's treason, it's a coup d'etat against the government of the United States, and we cannot accept that.
That's 3-star General McInerney. Go look up his bio. I don't have time to get into it tonight because we've given it over and over. 3-star General Thomas McInerney. Go look up his bio, folks. He's not a man given to hyperbole. Again, Mary Fanning and Alan Jones broke this story in December of 2015. Thomas McInerney, General McInerney, talked about this in March 2017 on Dave's program. Dave, what's his name again, Mary?
Ganda.
Dave Ganda, his show. And then the next day, the Russian hoax comes up by Comey. I guess a smoke screen, right? So they've been on this a long time. And General, I received 3 phone calls from 3 different people tied to the intelligence arena a couple weeks ago, trying to tell me that I was going to be embarrassing myself if I didn't quit talking about this, that it was all conspiracy and fake. And it's now being revealed that those, I guess, were calls to try to get me to stop using our network, our platform, to inform the American people, because now we just are starting to figure out what a lot of these words like Kraken and other things mean, and it is all coming out that
It's a really crazy time in our nation, folks.
They were trying to shut this down. Now I think there's some inside the intelligence arena.
We saw the argument just a minute ago in the chat that,
are they not?
that 9/11 was a bigger...
Yes, and they are guilty of treason.
Mary, would you care to comment?
Was
Mary,
a bigger
Be
scam.
quiet. I got to get you in here because you and Alan Jones.
But I
broke
think
this in
I'd have to
December
disagree. I think this
wow,
this is
you
much
guys
much
deserve some
bigger.
kind of huge,
It's very
literary
important that
research
people know what's
award,
going
but
on.
Please get in on what you've heard tonight.
We have amazing
Don't be
leaders
surprised
in
if this video disappears, by the way. If this video gets taken down, sure would be interesting.
That bad actors,
But lucky for you guys, I back everything up.
use this man in the middle proxies to cover their tracks. There was an attempt not just to steal
And
the
I
election,
post everything on Rumble.
but to steal America. The
So if
founding
this video
fathers may
disappears,
not
you'll be able to
have
find it
known
over there.
about
I'll put a
cyber
link
but they certainly
in the chat
recognized tyranny
so you guys
when
can
they saw
sub
it.
over on
President
Rumble.
Trump cannot leave office.
Because they won't censor. That's where I
When
put all
we
the
have
videos that
China
get banned.
and Iran having access to our elections, we cannot let them steal America through their illegal acts of treason and acts of war against this country.
Act of war, and I think that's exactly what it is. And we've got Iran, China, Russia involved in this.
Russia.
Yep. General, we've now got Russia making threats about missiles. We've got them talking about ramming ships. We've got Iran out there talking about retaliation. We see their father of their nuclear program has now been taken out in the last 24 hours or so. We see that Iran is bragging about putting missile launchers on their cargo ships. What does all this mean?
Well, it means a great deal of instability if we let the U.S. government be seized by people that are committing treason and cheating. They knew exactly what they were
Yeah, that
doing.
one weird girl.
Look,
Rumble is a
does everybody
platform. The same
think
people
that
who
the
own
pattern
Parler
for victory
own
for
Rumble. It's
Democrats in the
basically
future is
YouTube,
no
but without
major
censorship.
press conferences
So that's where I
with
put all
any
my
hard
banned videos.
questions. The largest rally he had was 14 people in 14 cars honking horns and staying in the basement. Is that the model for a successful victory?
Wow,
for the
Kentucky,
President of the United
that would
States?
be epic.
No,
Thank
but
you
he
so
knew
much.
something. All those people
That's why they call
knew
us SEAL
that the
Team. We in
number
the
was gonna
trees.
come out.
Forever
People
looking for the truth.
Betting
And making sure everybody out there can find it.
There's a great article about that, and the people in the casinos ought to look at those winners because they had inside information, and they are guilty of treason because they didn't tell the proper authorities. Anybody that was complicit, Fox News, in my opinion, some of those people are guilty of treason, whether it's the president, whoever it is, because they flipped and they knew what they were doing and they made those early announcements. And so anybody involved with this is complicit in it. If they didn't tell and alert the President of the United States and their proper officials.
Do you believe this
So
goes
that's
all the
how
way?
dangerous it is.
Do you believe this goes all the way back up to Nancy Pelosi, to Adam Schiff, to Barack Obama, to Joe Biden?
Yes, it had to. It had to. The way they act, the way they did things, everything they've done, the Russian hoax. Now we've got to know if John Durham, what is the status of John Durham and the Attorney General?
Bill, yeah.
What is the status of their work? What have they done?
General McInerney, before we run out of time, we're going to go about 10 minutes over because that's when our cards will also run out. We want to preserve all of this to get out in duplication to the American people. So we don't want to go where our cards run out. So we'll go about another 8-9 minutes. But September 12, 2018, executive order on imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. How much will this executive order by President Trump play into this, and how so?
Well, I think, and I'm going to ask Mary to also talk about it, but I think it'll play a major role. It tells me, Brandon, that the president knew something was happening and that this was going to come about.
Mary?
And so I think, Mary, you can go into the details.
Go ahead, Mary.
Well, there's an abundance of evidence that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from President Trump on behalf of Joe Biden, with Joe Biden's assistance, because Joe Biden said he had the greatest
Who's
voter
haggled to?
fraud group in
Am I missing
history put
something here? Is that
together.
a nickname I haven't heard of yet?
We cannot let this stand. It will be the theft of America. The American people must stand up.
Mary, I have an article here in front of me dated June 7th, 2017. You're in here writing about a program, I think, was it called, help me out here, was it called Turkey or something? Wild Turkey
How
or
is that
something?
even possible?
Wild Turkey are some of the exploits.
You don't
that
hear
work off of the
U.S.
hammer,
military
as
or
well as
U.S. service
scorecards,
members
and
getting
as well as
killed.
Medusa. These are
Even
exploits
one
that were created.
without the
Wild
mainstream
Turkey was
media
not
covering
created
it.
by Dennis
And they're-
Montgomery. But Medusa
You're saying
and
5
scorecards
or up to
work off of
5
the
were killed in
hammer.
that raid and
here you are
no
in
mention
2017 writing
at
about
all?
this. Again,
Guys, this
you
is
and Alan
North
Jones,
Korea
your co-author,
level
their book, by the way, can be found on Amazon. The Hammer is the Key to the Coup, which is the
brainwashing.
Some of the final words of
Like,
four-star
it's
Admiral
bad.
Lyons to his friend General McInerney, because they were researching and talking about this. Remember, they Admiral Lyons, 4 stars, General McInerney, 3 stars, did a radio show together in 2017 warning about this, and then this is when things really started breaking open. But again, it's 2015 that Mary Fanning and Alan Jones do all the research and start releasing the information over at theamericanreport.org, right, Mary? It's .org, correct?
It is .org, yes.
Theamericanreport.org.
I guess all I had to do
Mary,
is look
now
at
we
him. I
have
could have
guys-
figured out who
you know that I
Snaggletooth was.
pressured by 3 people in the
Snaggletooth
community to stop doing radio and TV on this. I wouldn't do it because I believe in you and Alan and the general, and I just wasn't going to back down. I'd seen enough information and enough proof. I knew the general's long credibility, and I wasn't going to back down. You know, I got 3 phone calls from people tied to the intelligence arena. Quit talking about this kind of stuff. You're going to look stupid and foolish. Now it's all being confirmed. But what's interesting, Mary, is you and I talked about, I guess, some guy out there writing now who was, I guess, poo-pooing some of this, and now he wants to try to control the narrative and give interviews on it. And I noticed that in one of his interviews, he seems to try to defend the head of the CIA and the head of the FBI. So am I to believe that these people that were
Amanda
poo-pooing
Williams,
this, as, hey, don't talk about
the
this.
mainstream media said they
now
died in a
your
helicopter
research has been
crash?
affirmed over and over, and so now they're going to try to take care
And they gave the
control
wrong
narrative.
location.
And are they going to try now, some of those same
Whoa.
people, to defend the head of the CIA and FBI? Kind of interesting to watch this behavior, is it not? Am I right or wrong in my assumption here?
I think you're exactly correct. This former CIA agent, Larry, it's in the front page mag article. People can read about it. But the fact that he's coming out and saying that Gina had nothing to do with this, nor did Ray.
I mean, MK,
is
I mean,
highly suspect comment that he would like to leave
I'd
these
say
people in
General
place.
Flynn
Anyone who's involved
is a pretty
in this
reliable
and
source.
is on the side and standing with treason against this country, regardless of which agency they're with, should think twice before they start attempting to insinuate themselves into this this treasonous activity that's gone on for far too long.
Mary,
and this came.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Directly out of the Obama This came directly out of the Obama administration when John Brennan and James Clapper illegally commandeered the foreign surveillance.
I mean, this is
tool
definitely
known
worse
as
than trying
the
to
Hammer.
convince,
It was
brainwash an
designed by
entire
Dennis
country
Montgomery
that
in 2003 to
jet
keep
fuel
America
is
safe,
enough
as
to
you write,
melt
commandeered by them
welded
about 2
steel
weeks after
beams.
Obama was sworn into office and put on servers, you write, of the FBI under the director of Mueller, correct?
And that buildings around it could just
That's
randomly
correct.
fall
According
by
to
themselves.
Dennis Montgomery, Robert Mueller provided the computers for the Hammer.
And of course, they've tried to discredit Dennis Montgomery, because you can see why now. But as we've discussed in past programs, he got 2 immunity deals after being interviewed and recorded. So apparently he didn't lie, or he'd be in jail. He kept it. He got his immunity deals, kept some of his security clearances, is not in jail. So that should tell us a lot to the people trying to smear the guy.
That's big
Mary,
stuff, folks.
You believe, I believe. This whole idea
I mean,
that
it's all
Donald
stuff
Trump
that
needs to go ahead and concede. I think the
I've
one
pretty
that
much
should be
assumed was
conceding is
going
Joe
on.
Biden. I think the
But
American
to hear
people
it
should
from
rise
somebody
up in
like General
mass.
Flynn
I think conservatives should rise up in mass,
and
tweet, Facebook,
I don't know how to
email,
say his last name,
and begin to demand that Joe Biden concede. What say you?
McInerney?
You cannot
McInerney.
award the country
McInerney.
to Joe Biden
I don't know.
when he has cheated to steal an election. It's really that simple.
Do you believe
That's
the American
big.
people are going to demand that some of these folks actually face the charges of treason? And how high do you think this could go? Or is this going to be the old Washington game of blaming someone
Brandon,
down the lower level?
It's beyond the election. It's beyond the stolen votes. You have to look at Joe Biden and his family. Billions of dollars.
This
to
is
his
this
son
is the
Hunter,
war
his
that
drug-addled
everybody knew
son.
was coming.
Billions of
It's the
dollars
war for your
from
minds,
China
folks.
and billions from the Ukraine to
And I'll
Hunter
kinda-
Biden.
I don't wanna go
Can
into
you
this
even
too deep,
imagine this in a different day?
'cause I could go on
the fact
for
that
hours.
The media has remained silent.
This is kind of what,
as
in my
China
mind, I've kind of
and
figured out, or what I
Iran and
believe is
Russia
happening.
are buying off
And
our
I could be
officials.
wrong. It's just a theory.
Should tell you everything you need to know about the mocking.
But I believe this.
media.
I believe
Not-
this
not
goes
to
all the
mention,
way
Mary,
back
as you report in your excellent
to
report,
when the United
Perfect
States.
Storm, the Jafar family, the Gulf Tanner family,
Yo,
Dr. Jafar,
CPL Kentucky just got himself a SEAL Team T-shirt. A booyah!
Nuclear device.
Brother, you are a real one. Thank you so much. You, sir, are SEAL Team 711 certified. I appreciate you so much.
And in Wilmington, Delaware, cargo containers, and yet they're in some kind of business deal
Can't
back
even
with
tell you how much it
100%
humbles me to see
Russian-owned
that.
export of the Club K car
Would love to
that
see
has
you in the
4
Discord
cruise
posting
missile
pictures when
silos
you
that
get
pop
it.
up and can deliver cruise missiles, biological
Thank you, sir.
weapons, nuclear weapons, and could easily be planted down here in the U.S. as you have translated Russian
I'm going to try to give
manuals for Pearl Harbor
the
2.0
quick
into
rundown
English
on this,
that
but I
call for a
believe
Russian
all of this stuff
strategy
has been
of
going
doing
on
just that. And as
to
you know,
before,
live
or
on
right
our
to the end
show
of the World
a few years
Wars,
ago,
when the United States took
Phil
over the
Haley,
world
former Department of
currency.
Homeland Security whistleblower,
The United States made a bunch of promises
revealed
when they
right
did
on this
that.
show, hey, Brandon, you
Some
want
of those
another piece
promises
of
were
interesting
that
information to go with
the
that?
price of gold
Look
would
at
never
Citgo
go over
owned by
a certain
Venezuela. They're
price.
in financial crisis with massive inflation.
We
Guess who's
promised that
come in
we
and
would
bought up
always
a big
allow
chunk of their
countries
company? Russia. Look at all
to
the
buy their gold
oil
back.
terminals up and down the eastern seaboard.
There's a bunch
Now
of different
Russia can
promises
bring
like that,
in
but the
through
United States basically
the oil terminals, the cargo terminals, to
took
bring in
the world
Club K
currency, was
cargo
given the
missile
world currency,
launching system,
and then a lot of those rules were
relationship with
broken,
Dr.
which
Jafar
upset a
and
lot of
Walt
different
Painter,
nations.
have caused now to move them into the U.S. and plop them
And
down.
I'm sure you guys know that Nixon suspended the transfer of gold,
and that's your perfect Pearl Harbor 2.0 that you've
which
been worrying
basically
about,
told the
and Phil
countries,
Haley
you can
dropped
give us
that
your
right
gold and
on
we'll
the
give you
news desk
dollars.
of our show live, and you happen to be watching that night.
But no, we're not going to
there's
sell you
way
your
more
gold
to this
back.
than just the election.
And that
We're
upset a
talking
lot of
about them
people.
being inside
I
the
know a lot of
wire,
people know
and a
that
lot of these
JFK wanted
people,
to end the
the
Fed.
Bidens, the Obamas, Hillary, tied to some of these
And we know what happened to
actors,
JFK.
correct?
Well, that's correct.
And we've seen a lot of these wars,
the Jafars,
which are
were
all
put on the
countries that
Pentagon's
happen
blacklist,
to
meant
have.
that they were wanted for capture or killed Dr. Jafar via Jafar.
Well, let me get to
And
that
he's
in a
the
second.
nuclear mastermind of Saddam Hussein. And
But what,
you know,
what
this,
we,
this is, but in order to
you know,
take
basically
back our
these countries
country,
got upset
we
and
must
said, you know what,
take
we
back this election that Donald Trump
once
won
Nixon
fair and
suspended
square
the transfer
before
of
they started
gold
cheating
and the price
with
of gold
foreign
went
actors,
skyrocketing and those
Russia,
promises
China,
were broken. A
Iran.
lot of these other countries were like, you know what, we're just not going to give the United States our gold anymore, whatever. We have no reason to have dollars, but to protect the world currency and to protect the value, the United States basically went out there and started, they said, what do we have? We have the strongest military in the world. We've got to protect the world currency. We've got to protect the dollar. And that's where you come in and you hear a lot about the petrodollar. From what I understand, that's basically why OPEC was created. And we went around and said basically join OPEC and you will have U.S. military protection for your oil fields, which everyone knows oil fields are constantly being taken over and taken from people. So you can have U.S. military protection for your oil fields.
It's a battalion.
And all you have to do to join is only sell your oil in U.S. dollars.
Yes.
Now, this is
So that basically forced these other countries that were like, no, we're not giving the U.S. our dollars anymore, or our gold anymore. They showed up to go buy oil, and they're like, sorry, we're part of OPEC. You have to pay in dollars. So they had to bring their gold to the U.S. to get dollars to buy oil. And then you've seen all these other wars and stuff that have been going on, and it's always with countries that have basically tried coordinating with other countries to get out of OPEC and sell their own oil. There's a lot there. Again, this is just kind of what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing.
And
I think that basically there's been this globalist plan to get the United States out of the way and take away the world currency from the United States. And they knew they couldn't beat us with military. They knew they couldn't beat us in a lot of different traditional methods. So the plan was basically to infiltrate the education system, start divide and conquer,
Mary Fanning, I'm sorry we couldn't get another
basically
hero on here. Alan Jones,
convince everybody that socialism and communist ideals are okay. We've seen that happen in our education systems.
Pressure to not talk about this, but here it is, all out in the open now. And isn't it interesting? The alternative media has had to do it tonight. I want to thank all of
and
them
then
for
basically
joining us.
also infiltrate the political system, and not just one side, both sides. That's where we hear about that swamp.
For the American people to disseminate. And again,
and I think the plan was basically to destabilize the United States enough to where slowly our economy, we started hearing during the Obama administration finally, you were hearing a lot about our credit rating was going to go away, that we had never defaulted on our loans, that we had never done any of that kind of stuff. And I think the plan was to destabilize the United States little by little and crush the economy. And then basically the world nations would have no choice but to finally come around and say, hey, it's time. It's time for a new world currency. And I think a lot of people were complicit in that.
You did not hold any position in the government whatsoever, did you?
Correct.
But I think Mr. Donald J. Trump was sitting on the sidelines watching all of this stuff happen. I think he was sitting around on the sidelines going, wait a minute, the dollar is crashing and everything that I've built and everything I've done is basically just going to become worthless. Fractions of what it was originally worth.
God help me come up with the right words.
And you hear Donald Trump all the time talk about China, and the thing is, if the United States were to lose the world currency, there would be a big meeting. All the nations would come together, and they would have to decide basically who would get the world currency, and it would go to the second biggest economy, which I'm sure you guys all know that's China. And you hear Trump all the time rallying against China.
I hear us getting a little feedback there. I'm a little taller than
And I think they weren't planning or expecting for Donald J. Trump to get in the way and to put a stop to it.
We're good. Sorry, guys. All right, so we've been doing
And I think he's in there fighting like all hell, but the globalists right now are just absolutely...
Donald Trump was the progression.
They basically said, okay, Trump got in the way. He's undid everything that we've done. Now what? And I think the only thing they have left now is this attempt with stealing an election. They've gotten so desperate that they've gone to these measures. Or the other option is to basically get a divide and conquer. And get us, I mean, one of the ways they could destabilize us very easily is just basically to cause a civil war. In the end, the globalists still get what they want. I just gotta hope that, and that's my opinion, but I just gotta hope that Trump and the people that are in there, the patriots of this country, are doing everything they can to prevent both of those scenarios.
All right, so we've got some local people. But you guys in Florida did something special, right? And it plays into what Trump did more broadly. But here's the thing. The Democrats cheated everywhere, including right here in Florida. Don't doubt it for 1 second. They added votes to Biden's total.
Got to catch up on all these comments.
And I got to shout a couple people out because I know how it happened, which is your guys' Republican Party is headed by a guy named Joe Gruters, and the vice president is Christian Ziegler. And they have a tough job, right? Because there's a lot of really passionate people, but they still have to operate within the system. But I can tell you this, those guys never didn't take my call. They always explained to me what they were doing, even if I didn't like it, right? Because it's not about getting your way.
See, that's just it. Is I think that there were so many crazy conspiracy theories out there that they basically vilified conspiracy theories and made everybody think that anyone who believes anything that could remotely be a conspiracy theory basically wears tinfoil on their heads, you know? Knowing that later on they could call just about anything a conspiracy theory and it would immediately discredit it.
Donald Trump stood up to all of them, right? He took down the Republican establishment. Literally, took 14 candidates and just ran the race.
And that's just kind of where my head is. That's kind of just what my theory is and what I think is kind of going on. But I think we're seeing multiple different wars culminate into one. There's a war out there for your mind. The education systems, we all saw the Pledge of Allegiance and taken out of our schools. One of the main reasons I moved my child to a better school district where they say the Pledge of Allegiance every single day. They went around and started taking God out of everything. I mean, and I understand that a lot of people aren't religious, but this is a country that was founded on faith, and to see them just trying to undo everything and then starting to teach people that there is no Christopher Columbus, that America's evil and they stole people. I mean, I just couldn't believe the kind of things that they were teaching in the schools. But it's a war for your minds, folks. A war for your minds. A lot of interesting stuff came out of that. A lot of very interesting stuff.
Network with each other, have each other's back, communicate with each other.
Yeah, I'm looking around. It looks like that a lot of the feeds.
You have to do it. All right, I'm gonna bring up another.
Kind of starting to go down. You got Poop Troop.
One of the things we want to do is highlight people who have worked hard, who put the
Sorry,
time
I had to do it.
The first person I'm going to bring up is Joe
But
Mullins.
we got Poop Troop out and about. I don't know if that means there's going to be anything, but it doesn't look very active. It's very, very, very possible. I've been up for quite a bit, but I do want to show you guys one more thing that I saw today.
From a little state north of here called Georgia.
That's very informative.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and roll that in here.
And I don't know what the hell's happened up there.
I'll put it where Jared was at.
There this past week, and right now,
but I found this interesting.
They're seeing us. They need to know that we've got their
about leaf filter, the proven solution.
Oh, they're gonna make us listen to a commercial first, huh?
Group that people are like.
You get it up and running.
It's just like they're saying Antifa, like this like terrorist group. Like, of course we're anti-fascists. I hope we are, but like, you know what I mean? It's just like a silly name that they've been throwing people in their groups. What's up, Relentless Unicorn? How you doing? Boop boop. It's your first time here. Welcome.
See if we can give her a refresh.
Election hearing,
Here we
a
go.
witness claimed that voting machines used in the U.S. were built for manipulating elections and alleged that according to his team's research, up to 1.2 million votes could have been altered in Pennsylvania.
So all of these elections...
Phil Waldron, a cybersecurity expert dealing with intelligence and information warfare for some 30 years, was a witness at the hearing. Waldron said that he and his team have been researching voting system manipulation issues since August. He told the committee that the voting systems in Pennsylvania and elsewhere
Guys, if you haven't added MK on YouTube, you should go do that. Will one of the mods do the exclamation point MK and make sure that link gets out there so people can find him.
Cuban intelligence officer who had firsthand knowledge of Hugo Chavez's family members who told him not to worry about the populist threat against Maduro's election in Venezuela. Quote unquote, that it was guaranteed. Their father invested the money to build the SGO voting machine system.
He said the man who told him this has written a sworn affidavit. Waldron said U.S. voting systems like Dominion have similar code and similar function and have a common DNA to holding company SGO's Venezuelan-linked Smartmatic.
So these systems, in a nutshell, allow authorized and unauthorized users to cancel votes, shift votes, preload votes, vote blank ballots, all in real time and in large numbers.
He also alleged the machines are connected to the internet and have servers outside the U.S.
Our experts and other academics believe that up to 1.2 million Pennsylvania votes could have been altered or fraudulent. This is what we discovered in the last 22 days.
But he said that only a detailed forensic analysis would show how many Pennsylvanian votes had been manipulated. After the allegations were made, Dominion released a statement late on November 25th, saying that Dominion has no ties to Smartmatic or Venezuela. Attorney Sidney Powell's Georgia lawsuit includes a sworn affidavit from an alleged Venezuelan whistleblower who claims to have been present when Smartmatic was created.
Redneck, good seeing you, brother.
Chavez. He also alleges Dominion shares Smartmatic software. Grace Coulter, NTD News.
And a data analyst has reviewed voting data in several swing states. He says his findings are enough to overturn the results in at least 3 of them. His evidence appears to suggest the election results could be turned to favor
Oh yeah,
President
they're heavily
Trump.
censored.
NTD's Kevin Hogan has more.
A data analyst performed 35 experiments in 5 states regarding voter data in the presidential election. According to his findings, in at least 3 of the states, the number of questionable or potentially fraudulent ballots exceeds the vote margin between Trump and Biden. The leader of the Voter Integrity Project, Matt Brainerd, explained his findings in an interview with Crossroads host Joshua Phillip. Brainerd said he found over 1,000 voters in Georgia who listed themselves at addresses that are post offices or other facilities the Postal Service leases or owns, like FedEx or UPS stores. They also disguised their P.O. boxes as apartments.
So rather than saying P.O. Box 123, the address is listed as apartment.
I agree with the MK.
And that's a major red flag.
They're doing what we're trying to do, covering all the news.
Is that almost all of them voted early absentee. Very few voted in person. So that really raises a red flag because they're illegally registered, and not just incidentally, but intentionally meant to deceive by listing, suite number or unit number rather than technically what it is, which is a box number.
For example, a voter listed his or her address as 724 Charlie Smith Senior Highway, St. Mary's, Georgia, apartment 5402. But that address is not an apartment building, it's a post office. According to the Federal Voting Assistance Program, when requesting an absentee ballot, a P.O. box cannot be used as a mailing address. Now on to Pennsylvania. Brainerd had teams call people the state marked as having received a ballot request, but from whom the state never got the actual ballot. In other words, people who supposedly requested a ballot, but it never arrived to be counted in their name.
The first question we asked is, did you actually request that ballot? And in many cases they said no, which is a big red flag, because somebody had to request that ballot, and by law it had to be them or somebody that they designated legally to do so.
Here is an example of a call his team made to a Pennsylvania resident.
We show that voters in the state of Pennsylvania is marked as having received an absentee ballot request from you, but did not receive your absentee ballot. Did you request an absentee ballot?
No.
The second question they asked was if the voter returned the ballot. Many said yes, which Brainerd says is a red flag because the state did not receive it and their vote was not counted.
We're hoping that by making the state discovery, it will lead to judicial remedies that could bring greater scrutiny to the election, such as signature.
And a lot of those ballots
evaluation or
went to
manual
fake
recount,
addresses.
as well as law enforcement to look into exactly who requested those ballots, and then if the people did mail them back in, why they didn't get counted and why they didn't make it to the clerk's office.
Brainerd says his analysis should have been done before the election by cleaning up voter rolls to remove ineligible voters, and during the election by objecting to ballots that should not be counted. He says once the ballots are taken out of the absentee envelopes, it's hard to remedy the problem, short of a judge ordering a complete do-over of the election. Kevin Hogan, NTD News.
So there you go, folks. That was the other one that I had seen this morning that I had found being pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of trees and there's enough big parks to probably at least let them go and rest in. So, I mean, if anything, we can all just.
It's a lot of stuff out there that
animals
people just aren't seeing, and so when it comes to showing that kind of stuff, I sure want, when we get slow and we don't have too many streams up of anything that's going on in terms of the protests and stuff, I think it's important that we cover it. Now, just for liabilities and whatnot, not saying any of this is true, not saying any of it is false. I'm saying it's a part of the story, and it's important that we all get those pieces of the story, and we piece this together
and then if you guys
on
go
our
on
own.
Jake's stream chat on D Live,
But I'll tell you what,
Behind Enemy Lives on D Live. That's
when
where
you're
he streams
throwing
at.
out
they're all just trying to get everybody banned.
vote
they're
watchers,
trying to get Ninja banned all day, and then they said next they're going to.
What are you trying to hide?
Yeah, they're trying to get
When you
Dak
aren't
banned last
reporting
night.
on this part of the
Anybody
story,
that's like not a right-wing streamer
what are you
that
trying to
they just
hide?
think is like Antifa or terrorist, or anybody that's streaming that doesn't.
It absolutely
go,
deserves
"Fuck Antifa," they're trying to get
eyes.
banned,
It's a
which is
part of the
stupid
story.
because, like,
It's a huge part of the
They've already
story.
banned my
When we're
Facebook
hearing
account,
about
they're trying to
soldiers
ban
that
Boot Troop page.
took part in a raid that had to do with the election, when we have generals that are coming out that
they're
are
all
blowing
dumb
whistles,
because
when
they
we've
all
got
talk about
Democrats on that
how
side
they're
blowing the
gonna be
whistle,
banning these pages,
folks,
so I just have to send that evidence of them talking about banning the pages.
there's a
to
lot
Facebook
of stuff
and get all
here,
my shit back.
and they're hiding it from the majority of people, and I think it's really, 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 really
Someone
important
calls Zuck.
that we see this stuff. And there's a
Jake
very
acts
good
so big,
chance
wait,
that this video will get banned because I covered it. Again, if it does, I'll put it over on Rumble so it can be seen. We'll see if it gets banned or not.
He's a wannabe.
The only thing we're doing here is pushing the other side of the story so that people have it, since nobody else wants to cover it. We're going to go ahead and keep an eye on it and see what happens.
Can't read the comments. Jake is an alarmist. Highly emotional.
Yeah, and I've said this
I feel like
before.
he's a
I
little
got 2 different ballots in the mail in Oregon. And like I've said before, it makes me wonder, why did they send me 2 ballots? Was it so that in a computer system in my state, there was 2 ballots with my name, so that when I took this ballot and I sent it in, and they realized that it was for Trump, they could throw it in the garbage and not count it. And this other ballot that exists that never got turned in, which me being a law-abiding citizen did not use to vote with, could have very easily been manipulated and turned in and checked off Biden. And what do you know? Like, I have no way of looking to see who I voted for. I have no way of, there's no database for me to go check to make sure that my selections were made or that my vote counted. I would never know.
Who's Jake?
And I think a lot of that kind of stuff is going on.
Under the name Behind Enemy Lines.
So
I have clips of him on the Boot Troop Twitter. The
a
first
lot of
night
stuff,
he came
guys.
Out. He's like, I'm the new streamer in town.
Very
He's like,
interesting time in history that we're living
stuff.
through, and
tucks his wiener.
It's not going to be easy.
Sounded like a little cookie.
But that's why we have this need and this want to build a Patriot network. We don't always have to agree on everything, but it's the fact that we're willing to have that discussion,
like, all right, now let's go back to Portland.
And that we're willing to converse with each other,
We'll go get some pho with
so
you.
that during that discussion we can
We'll get
hopefully
some
come
pho.
to a truth.
Some pho. We'll go get some pho.
With that being said, that discussion will continue on Discord. There's quite the conversation going on now, if you aren't over there.
Dive behind what? I love pho, yeah, pho.
But if you aren't, I recommend you do.
D-Live behind enemy lines, yeah. Not Jake from State Farm, no, he's not.
And folks, we are shadow banned like no other on all these platforms. No surprise here. I appreciate everybody who shared the feed, who hit that thumbs up button. Y'all went crazy with the donos today, man. I literally, seriously, humbled. Absolutely humbled. Like I said, up until this point, and still probably continuing for a while, with all the different stuff that it takes to put this on for people to see this, I'm spending money, not making money. And just the fact that you guys are willing to help out and kick some donos my way to take that burden off of me a little bit, I appreciate that. I really do. It means the world. I'm not in this to make money. I do this as a hobby. I do this because I didn't have any way to find information out there, and I went out and started looking, and it's all about getting us Patriots together. And I appreciate every single one of you for being here. If you haven't gone over and added Salty Snicker on YouTube, I'm sure they're probably live right now, and they'll have some feeds up that you can watch. There's great people in the chat over there. Make sure to yell out and scream and let them know that SEAL Team 711 sent you over there. They are family. If you haven't added Andazant yet on YouTube, make sure to do that. MK, we shared his link there a minute ago. Do that as well. And you Twitch folks, cannot forget SEAL Team 711 certified. That one weird girl who did such a great job yesterday as a reporter on the ground over there in Sacktown. She's a great one to go add as well. Every one of you who are in here, go ahead and use your bot codes. Make sure to put up all the links so that folks can find you. We will grow that Patriot network one way or another. I appreciate all of the mods for being in here and keeping the chat clean, putting down the hammer on the trolls and the people who don't want us having these conversations and showing these things. And to everyone who cheersed and had drinks with us tonight, I, once again, will cheers to you. Although my cup seems to be a bit empty, but I promise I will put something in this cup at the end. There, I guess there's a little bit in there. Cheers. And with that, folks, we're going to call this one. Been up since about 3-4 in the morning, so we're going to go ahead and head on out. I appreciate you, SEAL Team. Keep on banging the truth out there, and we'll see you on the next one. So much love. Peace, folks.